What's up, chat? How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. It's Friday, and that's nothing in particular, but it is a big summer preview event. We are about to engage in exactly what Games Workshop wants us to. They get to engage in corporate skullduggery, and we still come ravenously back slavering for more Warhammer content. Really, we are the problem, chat. So we're going to watch their big summer preview and hope that there's cool 40k stuff that we can talk about. Even though we're mad at them and we don't like them right now. In addition to that, I'm a little early right now because I got my Armageddon box. I'm very excited about it. Look at that. Look at that big fucking box right there, chat. That's a big box. There's a bunch of stuff in it that will almost certainly stay in it forever. I probably won't play any of it, so that's exciting. Why are we mad at GW? Because they issued cease and desists yesterday morning to most of the Tabletop Simulator mod creators. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are like, this is not the first time they've done that, and I understand that. I have been here for most of those instances when that has occurred. But the point is that they keep fucking doing it, and it's stupid. They know it's pointless. It just creates more work for the community, and it actively antagonizes the people who most consistently engage with their content. Fucking holy shit, dude. Any other company would be like, hey, TTS people, this is sick. How do we engage with you more freely? And Games Workshop issue cease and desists. Awesome. We love that for them. But we're still going to keep buying their shit because we're shills, I guess. Anyway, chat. Let's look at what's in here. What am I printing? It's nothing interesting, actually. It's just it's a thing for my roommate. It's like a spacer for hanging things, like pictures. I did print a bunch of base extenders today, though, because I am going to play in a tournament tomorrow. I believe I have locked in that I'm going to play Subterranean Assault, which is very exciting, which also means I have to rebase all of my Hormagaunts because they are from 4th edition, which is a little while ago. You have to protect your IP within certain windows. Well, just do that a different way, dude. There are other ways to do that that are not as disruptive to the community, right? Maybe we hit one of the 100 AI-generated lore channels that are created every minute that use Games Workshop artwork and put an AI-generated voiceover over it and pump out a video every 6 hours. Maybe we DMCA those guys instead of the people who are actively playing your game. I don't know. You know? Maybe, just saying. I'm just saying. You know, it is what it is. I understand that it's like, you can send 2 or 3 letters to the TTS community and you hit most of the people who are most actively engaged, I guess, who are doing most of the content creation. But like, so it's like, you get to fucking lean back in your chair and be lazy about it. I understand that, but you're a fucking $1 billion company. You know, have some actual respect for yourself. All right, here's a bunch of orcs and stuff. I'm going through my Armageddon box. I got all these orcs. I bought this, by the way, just so we're on the same page. This wasn't given to me or anything. But it goes in my collection of starter box sets, which I am slowly expanding. Inky's cat shower is going to be taken over by Spruce for a moment while we look at the components inside. Oh, the actual game bit, which I'm kind of psyched about. This is sort of neat. It says Armageddon on it. That's cool. TTS is basically Warhammer for free. I mean, to some extent, sure. But the proportion of people who engage in Tabletop Simulator and do not purchase models is extremely, extremely low. I would say, if you were to compare the proportion of people who play only Tabletop Simulator and do not purchase models to the people who consume only AI-generated online content and do not purchase books...
Beyond 6,931 donated $2 through Super Chat. Tax write-off Armageddon box.
It is a tax write-off. All this shit's tax write-off. It's what a time to be alive. I got the chapter approved cards. These are This is a $300 set of chapter approved cards because the rest of this is going to live in the box for the rest of time. But that's very exciting. I'm excited to sleeve some of these and then have them not fit into the tarot box. I will say, though, this is a very nice tarot box. And one thing I think people always like sort of poo-poo Games Workshop for charging a lot for their printed content, especially for card sets and stuff. Having gone to production with these sets in the past, can confirm printed goods are dramatically more expensive than the miniatures that you buy. So there is no way that this card set is not the second most expensive thing in this product, the most expensive thing being this box. All these miniatures cost a fraction of what these printed objects cost, which is fucking wild. So the fact that this is a $300 set of cards is actually not that unreasonable. Just crazy. So yeah, anyway, pretty good stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, I think like if you were to compare they just started their live stream, by the way, but it's just on a holding pattern. If you were to compare the proportion of people who play Tabletop Simulator and also engage in the tabletop game, it's like 99.9%, right? I could list off like a single digit number of people who I know who either who play Tabletop Simulator and either have not engaged at all in the in-person game or do not plan to engage in the in-person game. Out of the hundreds of Tabletop Simulator players I know, I think I know maybe 4 of those people, versus the people on the other side of the aisle who are like watching content and reading lore and shit, and people who are not engaging actively with the business side of the hobby. I imagine that the people who are engaged with the lore and not the game side, fucking 1% of them will ever, actually contribute to the business. So if you want to hit a side of the business who is not profitable for you, it is certainly not the people who play on Tabletop Simulator. It's fucking wild, dude. Am I streaming Crucible? I am, chat. I'm very excited about it. Crucible is one of my favorite events of the year, and it's always big, it's always impressive, and it's next to Universal Studios. So it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm so excited, and it is on my docket. So yeah, very, very excited about Crucible. I think it's going to be sweet. So anyway, I don't know. They own their model production. They probably don't have printing factories. I bet they do. But like in any case, the printing stuff is still like very expensive. I don't know why I took all this stuff out and then put the chapter approved deck back into the box. I'm going to take this with me when I go to my tournament. So I need that. There's also a rule book here, which I'm almost certainly not going to take, although it is very nice. Look at that. Ooh. Oh, it's like a lore book. This is sweet. This is a high quality piece of lore. I love that. And then here's assembly, and there is a rulebook in the. Oh, the rulebook's much smaller. That's good. Is there dice and stuff? Do they give you any play aids? No, get fucked, I guess they say. That's so funny. You get started with Armageddon, don't expect to actually play the game. Good stuff. Our mission cards in the updated app. Oh, I'm sorry. My mom is calling me, but unfortunately we are live right now. How long until the preview starts? I think officially 10 minutes, but there'll probably be like another 5 minutes before that or something. The live stream started, but it's just like a pre-roll right now. You get to. I'll sign your box of secondary cards. I absolutely will sign your box of secondary cards for sure. All right, time to put this all back together. Good stuff. I am very excited about playing in a tournament, though. I played a couple tournament games, but only online, and they were like kind of cursed pre-release content stuff. But I think it's gonna be good to actually get some games IRL, get a feel for how the systems work. How does this go back together? Hey yo, thank you for the membership, Leonard. So I have a video that is mostly complete. Excuse me. I have a video that is mostly complete about terrain, which unfortunately I was meant to get out either yesterday or today, and we got waylaid by all this tabletop simulator drama. So it was not out, but it will be out about terrain. There's some weird inconsistencies in the terrain rules that need FAQs, which I've discovered. Apparently I made people very angry on my Discord server just now because I was doing some editing and I realized that there is an inconsistent rule that is not correctly worded, which is fun in the obscuring terrain rules. Armageddon Marines can be fancy Marines of your choosing. I do like that. I do like that they're not chapter locked like the old Ultramarines were back in like 4th edition or whatever. The Battle for McCrag guys that had the Ultramarine symbol just like emblazoned. So everyone had an awkward Ultramarine tactical squad in every army now, which is unfortunate, of course. So what are we hoping to see from the preview here today, chat? I'm interested. I think some people were like, it's gonna have a new faction. I was like, I don't know. That does feel like sort of unlikely. There we go. Oh no, I put this beneath my chat box. Let's do this. What is... Oh, I see what's going on. Sorry, chat. One sec. There we go. Nice. We see a Codex roadmap. Codex roadmap would be great. I would love to see how far Tyranids are down on the list. That would be good. Show the next balance data slate and that towing is gone. I think towing's fine. So I think here's a hot take. I'm now like 10 or so like official games, like non-cursed games into the new edition, and I think the towing rules are fine. The terrain rules could change if you change the terrain templates, but I don't see that changing, right? The terrain templates are like a physical object. There's no way that they're gonna change mutate that. So the templates currently, the way they have them, are too large for they're like too, in some cases, small and awkwardly placed for a muster vehicle to get all the way inside them to see through. In some cases, it does feel like they're maybe too big so that it is too easy to gain lines of sight, but I have a suspicion that most of the cases where that feels too egregious is because it's a fucking Dawn of War deployment. Every single Dawn of War deployment game that I've played has been a shit show in terms of shooting. And it's like things that we knew from 10th edition that they just like refuse to learn about, where they're just like, oh, we're going to keep Dawn of War in. And in fact, we're going to make it mandatory for you to play it. Whereas TOs were actively removing layouts with Dawn of War from the previous edition because of how bad it was, and that was with the better, like the more defensive obscuring rules. I think that the line of sight rules as they are now are fine, but the deployment zones are not fine. If you play like Hammer and Anvil or whatever, you're like, oh, this is neat. I got some defense. There's like, I think some problems with search and destroy, but I think part of that is like the terrain position. You can definitely switch things around to make them a little bit more defensive. However, and search and destroy has always been like close rush distance and a little bit funny like that. However, Dawn of War is like you tow one piece of terrain and you have line of sights like 95% of the board. It's very, very abusive. And I think all they have to do is make that is make a layout or an optional layout in the event packet that just doesn't have Dawn of War deployments in it. Just remove them. We don't need them. They aren't better for the game. They aren't fun. They just suck in general. More events are giving more table space to players in order to allow them to play on long table edges rather than short table edges. In the past, obviously, when you're playing 6x4 tables and you had to fit like 200 tables into a hall or whatever, Dawn of War was kind of this like necessary evil because it was very like just mechanically difficult to play short table edge deployments. I don't think that's quite the case anymore. People are used to playing all short table edge deployments from 10th edition. We can just fucking axe Dawn of War, and it would be, the game would be just so much more fun. Like, I don't understand. It's wild, dude. It's wild. Yeah, it's I would not be surprised to see an alternate system of layouts that is constructed by tournament organizers that simply doesn't have that deployment in it. So yeah, people are defending GW for the TTS takedown. Yeah, I don't understand it, dude. I think I said my piece at the start of the stream, but it's like, if you need to performatively defend your IP, there are other ways that are to do that are less deleterious to the community. It just adds work to the people who are basically like your biggest evangelists. All it does is fuck them over, which is stupid. Is sweeping engagement considered fine? No. Dawn of War deployment is basically the catch-all for all essentially just a catch-all for all long table edge deployments. So sweeping engagement also falls into that. I think like search and destroy is probably the most exposed that a deployment should be, in my opinion. The long table edges are just super stupid. Honestly, it might be fun if some of the super fast factions got pointed down. Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see what the results are for the next 2 weeks or so. I know this week's going to be a little bit, or I guess 3 weeks. Next week's going to be a little bit funny because it's 4th of July in the US, so there are, I don't think, any events happening, maybe 1 or 2, in terms of larger events. And I think 4th of July falls like perfectly on the Saturday, so it's like really awkward. Obviously we'll see some European results, but I don't know how many. And this weekend in the US is the ATC, so a lot of events have tried to schedule around that. So I don't know if we're going to see a lot of results for the next 2 weeks or so, but like the week after that is going to be, I think, where we start to see the meta form, and I'm very interested to see what happens. I do think there are some mitigating factors to some of the factions that I personally, and I think a lot of other people, had considered to be what were going to be the metagame boogeyman. And I think the big one's Tau. Tau is like in a weird spot where, because they utilize the infiltrate plus scout quite a bit, their turn 1 threat range is a little bit shorter. And because the hidden keyword or the hidden mechanic now prevents all line of sight outside a certain distance, it is possible to protect yourself from observation, which you couldn't really do in the past because like they could observe from 60 inches away, so it didn't really matter where their stealth suits were. As long as their stealth suits could see literally anything, they could spot you. But now, because cover reduces their ballistic skill, if they can't get observers on you, things get really bad. So I've seen a lot of like these Montka alpha strikes that just fail because they don't have their requisite observers plus like their scouting forward units to do enough damage for it to matter. And then because hidden requires that your army get so close to their army, if that alpha strike isn't crippling, the other player just charges you. So you just like give up all your shit. So I don't know. We'll see how things go. I'm not going to say that I think they're bad or anything, but I do think last weekend's results were very eye-opening to me because like Tau went like 3-2 pretty consistently, which I was like, oh my god, okay, that's interesting. 3-0 with retaliation plus advanced acquisition. I do like that. I think that's interesting. But again, that's less of an alpha strikey kind of paradigm, right? It's a little bit more skirmish oriented. You're more about late game scoring with the retaliation contra stuff. Unless you're able to get pathfinders into your opponent early. Oh, the stream has started, chat.
Summer Warhammer preview. I am Adam Troke. This is Eddie Eccles, and we're delighted to have your company.
Yeah, this is going to be a really cool preview. We've got stuff from loads of different game systems to show you, loads of Warhammer to talk about. We think about
Thousand Suns are really good, yeah.
Yeah, should run to about that.
I agree with that. I think Thousand Suns are the best faction right now. And I don't even know if it's particularly close, but we'll see.
Fill the air with loads of cool.
I said it was Tau earlier, but I think I might have been wrong.
Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Warhammer the Old World, Warhammer Necromunda, Warhammer Blood Bowl, Warhammer Horus Heresy, and Legions Imperialis. Have we forgotten anything?
That's too many games.
Warhammer 40,000 kills.
That's too many games, Adam and Eddie.
Loads of different systems. It's not every single system that we make. There are a few systems we couldn't quite squeeze in. So we haven't got any Warcry for you. We haven't got any Underworld.
Or Middle Earth.
We haven't got any Middle Earth, but we'll have stuff on all
Chad, does Warcry still exist? Warcry mentioned? They still make Warcry? Is that a thing?
Hear about the news on those as it happens. Meanwhile, while the chat fills up and we get ready to kick
Are Grey Knights close to Thousand Suns? I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But Grey Knights have felt okay, but not like overbearing in the games that I've seen so far.
Did you get any right?
I got all of them right, obviously, Adam.
Very good.
I think a big thing is that Grey Knights can't up-down first battle round, which is a big change to how they play. So the first player doesn't have to like play as KG turn 1. So that's a huge downgrade to how they played from 10th edition.
Yep, absolutely. Have you been doing any hobby recently, Adam?
I have. I've found doing hobby a bit hard. I've been very busy, and also the weather is
been a bit warm, hasn't
anathema
it?
to painting right now here in the UK. We are getting burninated.
Anathema, what a
I've
good
put
word.
Together everything that was on the Space Marine side of my Armageddon box,
Nice.
including sort of dark angeling. Is that a word?
Why not?
The
Yeah,
models
why not?
with some extra details and back banners and things like that. What about you?
Bit of Eldari, taking some of them. Doing a little bit of Caradron.
So we got the caution tape over Adam's computer logo here, but we got Alienware on the left-hand side.
It was on Warcom, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Nice. So, meanwhile, the other thing I've been doing to fill a little bit of my hobby time is I've been sort of
Just a big old Alienware
some
right there.
army lists,
We love that.
Using the Warhammer 40,000 app.
Yes.
And I've been looking at. I saw somebody had made a really interesting little video on like Instagram or somewhere about how you could use the Fulgurist detachment, which is like land speeder centric. And so I'm trying to work out how I can synergize that with all of my Raven.
Adam, shout out that content creator.
Sort of attacking and deep.
That would be sick.
That could be really
Yeah, a
good.
lot
They're
of
not
people
gonna do that,
doing, Warhammer 40,000 army list theorying.
Yeah, I've been
aren't
caught
they?
up in the wave, I think. What about you?
Yeah, obviously. I've got one list for every single faction in 40k.
And you've played your first official game of the new
played
edition?
one game, one official game of the new edition so far.
One game. Oh my
You're
gosh.
undefeated, retire now.
So far, undefeated.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Right. So, as we said, we've got loads of things to talk about throughout the course of this
Beyond
preview. Thank you so much for joining us,
6,931
and,
donated
we hope you have a nice
$5
time.
through Super
We are going
Chat.
to start off the
No, I
show
thought we
by
were
going
free
to
from the
grim darkness
shackles of
far future, and
Warcry.
We're going to talk about some
No.
things for Warhammer 40,000. So, here we are.
No.
Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon, the launch box for the new edition. Sort of
The Warcry
out
has
there
cool
in the
models,
world.
though.
It's worth talking about some of the things that are coming up.
I just heard that the
first thing
gameplay was not
we
quite
wanna
as
talk about
exciting.
Is how new people to Warhammer might get started in the Warhammer 40,000 hobby with some Warhammer.
Let me know if the
40,000
audio's okay on the stream
So here
chats.
is the Warhammer 40,000.
I can turn it up if it's a little
starter set.
quiet.
We've got one in the flesh.
Hey!
This is
Let's
an
go.
enormous box and is the perfect
Armageddon
way if you've
small
never
version.
played Warhammer 40,000 before and want to get started to jump straight into the hobby. Eddie, what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so we did know that some of the miniatures from the Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon set would be available in other sets in the future. This is one of the first places you'll be able to get hold of them. So in this, you effectively have a combat patrol of Space Marines, painted as Ultramarines, but you can paint them whatever color you want. You've also got a combat patrol of Orks. You've also got a battlefield of stuff to play across, and effectively a combat patrol.
Those intercessors are interesting. Are the intercessors in that box the same ones as the ones
absolutely.
in
This is
Armageddon?
essentially everything you need to get started with your first games of Warhammer 40,000.
The guy with
All
the
my
40
box,
mil
all the
grenade
terrain
underslung
greenies to put
is
together. It's got the
pretty
game
cool.
board and all of the pieces marked out for you to put your terrain on, so you can just play straight out of this box if you want to.
Yeah, it's also got all the rules and stuff in there.
That's
Yeah,
sick. It comes like
absolutely.
a
You've got
half
your
a board of
core
terrain
rules and then
too.
the sort of
So if you buy
the
two of
guide
those,
for
you
the
play a
models
full size
in the
game.
box. So this is the first of the start.
Or maybe-
we're gonna talk
maybe you
about,
need more,
right
actually.
now,
I
but
don't know
there's
if
more
that's
to come. So
half a table.
what if you wanted to get started in Warhammer 40,000? You don't want the two-player launch set.
They're a
and you
bit
just
quiet?
want,
Okay.
Maybe a starter set which focuses on one of the factions. Well, this
let me see
is
if
getting
it
started
is.
with Space Marines and is the same combat patrol that you saw in the previous box, and it comes complete with the paints that you would need to do your first paint jobs on these models. I think it's 11 paints in the set, so you can get started right away with the Adeptus Astartes.
Yeah, and this is
Ultramarine on
perfect
that
if
cover
you've
is
already
like
got a game
cursed
group. They've
shit.
already got their box sets. They've split them all up, and you've got an odd number of players. And what if you want Space Marines? You can grab yourself this set and start playing straight away.
What's
This is
wrong
your
with it?
self-contained little starter set for Space Marines.
It will perhaps surprise no nobody to
We
know there
already
is an
caught
Ork
GW
equivalent.
AI generating
Yes,
art
this is
one
almost
time.
exactly the same, but green.
There you go.
So you
Wouldn't
have
shock me
the
if they
combat
did it
patrol
more
for
than
Orks.
once.
Then you've got a bunch of variously orky paints. So this is a great.
I don't know why he's
set
got
if you want
such
to kick off
narrow
an
eye
Ork army.
lenses.
Yeah,
It's like
and I
not
think one of the things
consistent.
to note here, you've already said it, but
It does look
if you're
AI
just looking
generated.
to sort of join in with an existing group, or maybe just start one of these armies for the first time and you're already in Warhammer.
Are we on the same page, chat? Let's go back to the AI Ultramarine guy. It does look hokey. I don't know, dude. Oh, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I guess like
First
mean, it would
steps into the
suck.
Warhammer 40,000 gaming and hobby experience.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. And the thing that's cool about this to point out is that while the other sets,
does
the
look
miniatures are
weird,
the same
though.
ones from the Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon set, these ones are brand new miniatures. So you've got
Yeah.
5 intercessors in there.
Well, the other
You've got
thing is
Space
that,
Marine
like-
Lieutenant. It's been like a whole week.
And
since
I don't
I've
want to
used
say
it.
for sure, right? Because like some of the stuff is relatively consistent, but AI's got this feel that it's like it's the high contrast thing, but it's also just like it feels kind of goopy, where the lines aren't quite straight, which you wouldn't get if it was human created, and you kind of see that with this. Like some of these, the sort of like lines in the bolter don't quite align, right? And obviously we're on like a low, it's like this 1080p. Can I go higher? Does this do 4K? It's like this 1080p stream, like restream, but like the shoulder pads like weirdly not round here. I don't know. Maybe we'll see when the final box
painting
comes
journey. If you've never
out. That
painted
one's a
Warhammer
little bit better.
models before, this would be
I
a
don't know,
decent
chat.
pickup.
Yeah, this is a lovely little
Yeah,
set. I
that's
started with a
awesome.
set a lot like this when I started playing Warhammer. You can paint
through
almost
Super
anything
Chat.
with this box because you've got
Also
all
his-
primary colors and then black
Are
and
his
white.
fingers
and
different
metallics
widths?
And,
Like,
some
what
really
is
useful
that?
little tools. So this is just a really solid base for a paint.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want one a little more themed towards a particular army,
The
you can
so
start with this.
I looked at the pinky thing initially. I think that's because you can see a gap between where this is and his armpit. So I think that's actually his armpit, and it just is like really low res. But like, look at the fucking the right hand here. This finger is super wide, and then this finger's really skinny. What's up with that? I don't know, dude. Yeah, I think it is. It looks like 5, but I think that's because there's like a little gap there, and it just looks like there's another finger. I don't think he's got 5 fingers. I don't think they
Primary
would
colors and then
make that mistake twice in a row.
It follows on quite nicely. We're going to talk about some terrain now. So we've got some really interesting.
That does
terrain
look
bits
hokey,
to
though.
Point out and talk about. The first is
We should
combat
turn on
control
chat. What does the
battle
chat
zone.
say?
So this is all of the terrain you see here in a box, along with the game boards and the tiles to the terrain prints to put the terrain on. This is everything you need in one box to play a complete game of Combat Patrol.
Yeah, and if you've already bought the starter set, if you add this box onto the starter set, you effectively have a full board's worth of terrain.
Yeah,
for something
the
like
chat
a
also
2,000
thinks it's-
point game
Yeah.
of Warhammer 40,000,
it's,
or in a
generated.
self-contained set.
Dude,
it's
that would
the
suck so
exact
hard. Could
right
you
amount of stuff
imagine?
to play Combat Patrol.
Yeah, and worth pointing out this.
They went
with this
through.
one,
They
this
did such a
launcher
song
model-
and dance with the 30K thing. They were like, no, we swear it's not generated. It's just an artist who made a mistake. You're like, all right, man. And there's like, if you look at some other components of it, there's like guns that are like all like misshapen and stuff. It just like isn't super obvious unless you're already looking for it.
Right.
That if it was
you
just
want to
like
add more
edited
things to it,
photography
or you
would
just
not have
want
been
to
the
focus
case.
on building a terrain board that suits your own preferences. We've got a few little terrain sets to talk about. This is the Manufactorum Ruins, which are those sort of classic building shapes that you often see on battlefields.
There's a train come
There's some of
painted.
these in
I
Combat Patrol set.
believe that there is a set that does come painted. I don't know which one it is, but they said that one of the we
We've got
unfortunately
the
paused that
capacitor
stream.
cluster here, which looks like it's writhing with electricity, and you've got like a
They
really
did say that
unfortunate
these are
server tool
available both
trapped in
painted
the
and
console at the
unpainted.
front.
Yeah,
In their
life's pretty
little
tough for
preview
services
video.
in Warhammer 40,000.
It is. It's not the best. Now, all of that is really exciting terrain. All comes unpainted, and is all coming fairly soon
There you
down
go,
the
chat.
pipe.
That's
That's
absolutely
There's
unpainted.
something else we need to explain to people that you've already talked about a little bit with Aidan on a video before, right?
That's absolutely right. Currently, all the terrain in my collection is Eddie painted. Very
Perfect.
soon, I'll be able to also benefit from ready painted terrain.
There you go.
This is the new.
So you can buy the
ready
individual kits
painted
unpainted, or you can get
Armageddon box.
the full
and this
box
is
set.
everything you need for a full incursion-sized game of Warhammer 40,000 in one box, and all of the terrain in this
Oh,
comes
incursion-sized.
ready painted and ready to go.
Yeah,
So you need
box
2
is
of these to
enormous.
play
It
Strike
is
Force?
jam-packed with absolutely loads of fantastic terrain, and we've got one here to open. So what we thought we'd do is actually just crack one open and build one of the terrain pieces in it, nice and quickly, to show you what it's like.
While Adam tells you about it, I'm going to build one of the terrain pieces in here to show you how quickly we can
Get
make
clipping, right. So what we've got is some nice pictures to show you while Eddie gets feverishly to work. So here you can see what you're dealing with. Essentially, it is a full battlefield's worth of already painted terrain. Try and talk over the rummaging and crashing of Eddie. The set comes with the game boards that you need.
I'm gonna level
it has the
chat.
terrain
It
markers,
does look pretty
so you
nice.
know where to put your terrain pieces onto.
If
and obviously the
if
terrain
this
is
stops
painted
me
to
from
a,
having to play on the
ready
old
painted
like
to a
ruins from
brilliant standard.
2010
So if you're
that are
looking to
just unpainted and
clip
broken at a
things
game
out
store,
from the
then I'm
frames,
all in for
put
it.
it together quickly and start playing a game of Warhammer 40,000.
I hope that they
on a
give
battlefield.
game
It's
stores
really good.
like a
This is a
big
wonderful way to do it. It's going to be enormously popular with people who
like a
me,
discount
I've already got my
system
own,
where you
terrain
can
board,
furnish your
but
game
if I
store with
wanted to host a
terrain
game
at
night
like
and I wanted
cost or
maybe, like,
something.
3 friends
That
to
would
come
be
over so we
fucking
could,
sick.
like, play round
That would
robin style
legitimately
games.
be a
This would enable me to do it nice and
deal.
quickly. You can imagine gaming clubs and tournaments and all of those people who have a need for a nice looking battlefield quickly are going to find this to be really exciting.
Feel free to hold that one up.
We'll find
there
it
you go.
really
I'll show you what it
exciting,
looks
but not
like.
if it's
Here you
like
go. If we get a zoom
$500
in
a
on
box,
this.
though.
So this is a piece directly off of the frame that Eddie has just worked on, and you can see the level of detail. You've got the fantastic glow effects around the sort
I
of
have doubts
the
it looks like that
lumens
from
and
the
the
box.
candles and
So,
on.
like,
Inside, you can see the interior detail.
I don't know. I
within
don't know
the
what
sort
it's calling. It's called.
the walls. You can see
My business
the
partner would fucking
chips
freak out at
and
me if
very
right now because
nicely
I
done
know they've
sort
been
of
working on
corrosion
this kind of
dripping
stuff
down the walls.
for
Really
a long
is a
time.
very
It's like
impressive,
emulsion
piece of
painting
terrain.
or
Almost there,
something.
almost there.
So now
It's
we've
a
got two. Now, I
system
always try and
that
put these together
is
to a
pretty
nice
well
level.
advanced right now. And some of the stuff you can
Essentially, it
do
just
with
push fits. One of the
painting
things that
onto
we've
three-dimensional
discovered,
surfaces
guys
is
who run
really,
our global
really,
events are
really
really excited about
impressive.
this because it's gonna enable
So
them to
I
put
actually
together
would not
large battlefields
put
very
it
quickly,
past
and
this
you can
stuff to
also
look this good.
unclip these things when you're ready to and put it back into a relatively
So I think,
small space.
yeah, the
There
whole
you go.
thing, actually, if you leave the kind of floors off, then the whole thing...
Look at all the L-shaped ruins. I know.
We need to do a bit more clipping.
More
There you
clipping,
go.
tiny bit more clipping.
All the people who are
a
like,
bit
no more
smaller now,
L-shaped
the whole
ruins
thing
in
packed back into
11th
the box.
edition. I was
There you
like,
go.
you sweet summer
So
child,
it's
you have no idea.
Which
It's
is
gonna
nice
be
if you're looking
even
for
more
some
L-shaped
story
ruins.
models.
They're just on a bigger base now.
think we're
That's
almost
the
there,
only
almost there.
difference.
Perfect. So one of the things I think that's quite nice about this is I speed painted my entire battlefield, but it took me all of a Saturday to build and then all of a Sunday to speed paint, and it's still not of the same quality.
Painting terrain is
as the
so much
complete
fun,
models.
but it
So you've
takes
done
so
perfect
fucking
building in
long.
what? The amount of time it's taken us to talk about this.
Look at
There we
that.
go. Moving
That's
it
actually
And it
very
really does
impressive.
look wonderful. You can see the bulkhead door and everything inside it. I could be more.
Unironically,
I'm pretty
looks
pleased
pretty
with this. I'm
good.
quite pleased with the effect I've got on some of the glow there as well. I think the dry brushing
Are you
I've achieved on
taking
this.
credit for all this work?
Yeah,
aren't you?
I just made this. Sure, saw it. So
Lovely. Nice. So this is on its way later in the year. It will come behind all of the other starter products that we just talked about. And so you're looking more towards the autumn time or beyond, right?
Yeah, and in terms of
Yeah.
price, this one comes in. It has twice as much terrain as the Combat Patrol Battlefield, and it comes in at a little bit more than the cost of 2 Combat Patrols.
There you go. So yeah, really exciting. Whew. Okay, so
what's a
we've
combat
talked
patrol
about
right
all the
now? It's
stars,
like
we've talked about all the
$100
terrain,
bucks or
the ready paint
something.
terrain, very
And so
exciting.
the
I
combat
guess we should
patrol
talk a little bit about the
set
things that are coming along with
is
the first codex. Of
two
Armageddon.
times a
probably
combat
do it. So it's
patrol, so
time
it's
to
like
look at some
$200. So a full table is like $400.
Get yourself a truck. I got all the trucks. Big trucks.
New truck
big
model?
Trucks.
These are
The
sick.
best.
I love the skewy ones.
Got all
That's
the
fun.
gubbins and guns. Grabbing tools, rammy bits, shooters, rockets, you name it. Remember,
Combat patrols are $170.
and grots. Go fast or go home.
Vehicles may explode when fired upon.
I'm out of
Safety
touch,
transported,
chat.
boys, is not guaranteed.
I'm so out of touch.
That was fun. It's a good time to be an orc this year, isn't it?
It is. They are
Holy
getting absolutely spoiled. We can confirm today the first codex is Orks, and alongside the codex, there are a whole bunch of new miniatures. One of the most exciting miniatures on its way is that new truck and that new mech, which are on their
Should we
way.
talk about the mech first?
Let's do the mech first. So, Ork mechs, those of you who know Orks will know, these are the mechanics that basically put together all of the weird and wonderful creations that's going to battle alongside.
This
your
is
Orks.
sick.
They are surprisingly
These look
good
great.
at science.
Odd boys with the innate knowledge to just make awesome things out of scrap.
Gene-coded, innate, kind of inherited knowledge in terms of how to make things like teleporters and
Did they
trucks
take
and
those
guns
two
and
out
I
from
wish I
under
had
the
those
desk?
skills.
No, they
Right,
clipped
I'm
it
sure you
from
could
the
do it.
sprue on the video.
But yeah, this is a really cool miniature. It has a kind of really thematic. He's got a kind of spanner clobber thing there.
Orks
He's
are
got
gonna
a
have the worst
slugger.
codex at 11th.
But the thing that
They're
he
gonna
really
have
does
the
is kind
best
of bring
codex
with
for
him
2 weeks,
all of the awesome
and then
machines
6 months
that
down the road, they'll be the
Ork
worst
so
codex,
fun
and then
to
a
play.
year down the
Yeah.
road, they'll be the
So
best
with no
codex
further ado,
again.
let's talk
I'm
about
calling
the
it
truck
now.
then, which is maybe the star of that show. This is the new Ork truck. It's an evolution of the classic Ork truck that you know and love.
Trucks
A
get
little bit
rocket
bigger,
launches?
a few more options.
Bro!
Really just wonderful to look at. It comes with a variety of options. In terms
Look at
of
that
weapon
rocket
mounts,
launcher.
you've got the big shooter. You've got the rocket launcher.
A truck
you have
with an
options for
actual
Grabber
gun
Claw,
that's, like,
Buzzsaw,
relevant?
and all of them
Fuck,
can be swapped
dude.
in positions on the top so that you can build different configurations to have some great variety as you're making your trucks.
Yeah, this is a phenomenally cool miniature. Like the current truck is really cool, right?
Absolutely.
The truck that is in current Ork armies is a perfectly good
Didn't
vehicle,
happen to
but
Tyranids,
it's been
but
with
it
us for a
happened
long
to
time
Space
now, right? Like,
Marines.
it's been
What is it, 50?
Remember, it's the
something
Space
like that,
Marine
yeah, it's been around for a
trajectory in
while.
11th.
This is a beautiful reinvention.
Broken,
The thing that
bad,
really makes this
unspeakably
is the fact
broken
that you
for
can
the
build
rest
it
of
in
the
so many
edition.
different ways. Where the pintle mount goes, where the close combat weapon goes, how the boys are positioned, what the driver looks like,
Even
what
here
goes
on
on
the screen, you can see the way it looks like it's going around the corner because you can alter the look of the suspension.
Yeah, you can
These
kind of
are
play with
sick,
where the wheels
dude.
are. And I think, especially if you've gone for a really heavy sort of Evil Sons or Speed Freak style army,
Yeah.
and you want to have a bit of variety in your force, this one kit with no
Yeah, I don't know if
changes
it has
at
a
all
wrecking
from what
ball.
comes in the box can be built.
I mean,
enough time
a wrecking ball could easily
need to
just
replicate
represent one
what
of
a
these
single
other
truck looks like.
weapons.
So we've got a couple here on the desk. The one I'm most excited by is the one with this.
He's got a
awesome
third
looking
one off on the
skull
side, but
prowl
he
at
hasn't
the
shown it
front.
off yet.
It just looks so like mean and awkward.
I wanna
This
see it.
Sort of whole skull
Adam,
motif for the Orks is so.
Give us
iconic.
the third truck.
Yeah, really fantastic.
Release the third
Now,
truck
what we wanted to
version.
do, the reason we brought these along is so I can sandwich this little guy in
make-
between
Yeah, the
them
buzzsaw is
and
sick.
just show you if
Oh.
you've already got some Orks.
Yay, wrecking ball!
Don't wanna
Oh no, that's
move
the
them
initial.
all
That's the
around.
existing truck.
I know, right? So this is how it
okay.
looks with the classic truck in between. It's a really good look. I think
Yeah,
people are
if
going to be
you've
very
already
happy.
got some trucks in your army, you can absolutely keep
Okay.
them alongside these
Yeah,
new
so
ones.
middle is
I
the
think there's
pre-existing
something to be
truck
said for an
model.
Ork army. It's got a bit of a ramshackle look to it. So you could replace them completely, or if you want to have a mix, that's absolutely fine. But I think the new ones just bring. They just look great. They've got so many cool options.
Yeah, I agree.
They're going to look phenomenal.
Nice. So that's a couple of fantastic brand new kits coming.
Or
from
only
Orks.
Orcs should have a
There's
drum,
more on the
drum
way
mag machine gun
that
that's
people might be
also
able to
belt
learn
fed.
about through the progress of the death.
Listen,
Model.
if they
that's right.
think
So
it works, it
there's
just works,
Lots of
bro.
Ork stuff still to come. Some of the
Just
stuff
stick
we're
more
showing
magazines
today,
on
some of
it for more-
will be
more
revealed
bullets.
potentially if the Orks do well in the Siege of Death.
Release the
campaign that's currently
Snyder
running.
truck.
So if you want to see some more Orks, play some games, send in your results. And you might get to see some more very, very soon. There are a few other boxes to talk about today, though. We've got the other stuff from Armageddon as well.
Yeah, that's right. So essentially, if you wanted to pick up some of the things from
So
Armageddon or
the,
duplicate them, we're going to be releasing the Dakar,
The
separately, the
new
War Track separately,
campaign,
and the
it's so
separately,
funny.
but
They
also
released this on like their email marketing today. The new campaign, the rewards of the campaign are early previews of the models. But if they really wanted to incentivize people, what they would do is have the results of the campaign influence release order, which I know they can't do, but that would be fucking sick. Like the faction that wins, like Order versus Chaos or whatever they do, like would get models released sooner. That would be so funny.
So it's a perfect bound book, slightly smaller than the codexes in terms of the height, but it is really thick and is packed with an incredible amount of Orky content.
178 pages it is.
I love these
And,
little like
the first
travel
thing
size
that I would
books,
like
by the
to
way.
just eulogize on is
It seems like the
how
Armageddon rulebook's
incredible
the same way.
The lore section for this is. We are talking a really thick.
Why are we
lore
mad at
section,
GW today?
which is
Because
everything
they,
you would want to know
if you watched my
about
video
Orks and how
yesterday,
operate.
they
It's got
launched a bunch of
gatefold map you can
DMCAs
see here,
onto
which is the
all of the most
Orky
popular
perspective on the
tabletop simulator
galaxy, all the
mods for
places that the Orks
40k.
fight and all the different
Yet
wars that are
again.
taking place. But there's a lot more to it than
They
that.
do it every
It's
like
about
3 to
the
4
Orks, where
years.
they come from, how
And
they
it's just
fight, their
stupid and
culture,
time consuming
the
and
clan
just like
structures.
fucks the community over.
Literally the most
Like forces all the
complete guide on
community
Orks
to like
you could hope
rebuild
for.
all their
And
tools
perhaps
basically,
the most
which is really
information
stupid.
on Orks there's ever
There's
been
like
in one
tens of
place.
thousands of
Every
man hours
unit
into the
gets
current
its
suite
own
of
full
TTS
text
tools,
section
and a lot
for
of it's going to have to get
example.
revamped
Information
in some
on the
way or
glyphs,
another.
information on like what clan icons and things that like. It's really great.
Not necessarily
People
from
might be
scratch,
interested in
but
the
they're
rules.
Yeah, so
it's going
one
to
of the
be
big
a
changes
lot of extra
to the
work.
rules in this codex versus
Yeah,
the previous ones
really stupid.
was in the last edition, there was quite a lot of rules in your codex, but quite a lot of them you couldn't use in all the different types of games. So if some of it you could only use in Crusade games, for example, all of the rules in this codex.
Also, apparently they might be AI generating art for their fucking box covers.
One of the ways that manifests, but
we'll see. I don't know.
Amount of
we'll see once we have it in front of us.
To play with. There are 15 different Ork detachments in this codex.
Not this stuff. This stuff looks good.
Loads of different ways to put your army together, ranging
this is like,
from
this is a real OG GW.
It gives you a huge variety of different
the box
ways
cover
that
is
you
real
can potentially
hokey.
put an army together. Some of these you could probably guess at the themes. There are like some fast ones, some stompy ones.
Yeah, the Flyboys gives itself away, doesn't
right?
it?
Like so there's some ones you could probably guess at, but there'll be loads of brand new ways that you could put together an Ork army that's just never been possible before, and it gives you a sense of what codexes will feel like in the new edition, where they will bring this huge variety of list building opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's more to it than just the detachments. Obviously, the rules have been looked at by the
new rules
team, and they've come up with
friendly
some
Ork
things.
abilities can reroll advanced
Army
rolls,
special
become
effects.
riled up.
Yeah, so
well, it's riled up. You have 5
right.
plus save, assault.
You can't have an Ork codex without
and you can advance
the
charge.
rule has changed a little bit, so there'll be some things that are
this
familiar.
Is
There's
sick.
Some slight changes. It
Wait,
still
that's really
allows
cool.
you to run and charge, but it now lets you re-roll that run as well. It also lets you have assault on all of your weapons. Which
I love that.
So that means that if you've got
there will
shooting
the
armies,
implication is that there will be ways to rile yourself up
Stand back with flash
outside of just walking.
Really
so instead of having to go through this whole thing where you're like, you can't count your army as being in the WOG for this battle round or whatever.
Other units will become more powerful.
You just have effects that can be like rile a unit.
It's a really great.
That's fucking
It's a really,
cool.
really good rule. For one turn of the game, you'll have a great turn every single game.
Yeah, and then all of the units within the codex have had their data sheets looked at. So here's the truck that we just showed you before, and you can see what's gone on with it. So you can see the different weapon options and things to give you a sense of what it means for your codex.
Dual big shooter.
So what you'd expect,
I guess it's two
still
shooters
kind of has
stuck
a
together.
Similar-ish stat line to what the truck
Non-monster
does at the
vehicle
moment.
lethal
It is
hits.
a kind of medium
10
size
shots
vehicle.
within
The
18
things
inches.
that you'll notice are that it has more
Which is
weapons
basically
than
the
you
whole
used to.
board
So
in
you've got
11th
options
edition.
there for different combat weapons, different shooting weapons.
And piling out is quite a nice
Yeah,
thing, isn't it?
you've got a really cool little mechanic where if an enemy unit gets nearby, something like a unit of fire dragons or eliminators or something is ready to kind of ready to kill your truck, you can pile the boys out, ready to kind of countercharge or to avoid being caught in the explosion or something like that. It's a really useful little rule that's got some quite neat little tactical plays you can do with it. So I think trucks are going to be very useful.
Yeah, perfect. And then in terms of other data sheets been looked at, it'd be worth looking at the Ork boys who really have had something
So,
of a
I think,
stat line glow up.
Just real quick, right?
There's a lot
People
going
pointed
on,
out
this data sheet, and I think I would recommend if you've got an Ork army, take a screenshot. There's
Yeah,
just cool stuff
now
there.
is the moment to record this.
so
the first thing
people
you'll notice
pointed
is
out
there's
that, like,
loads of weapon options. So one of
the
things
WOG
we've got
doesn't
a
give
lot
you
about
attacks or
the
strength
Armageddon
anymore, but it
box
looks like a
is
lot
that
of
all
that
the
might be
options
built
you
into
also
the
have
data
in the
sheets
new edition.
now.
It absolutely isn't. You've got
Choppas
loads
are
of
just
different
base
choices.
strength
In fact, more
5.
than you've had
right?
recently.
Which
More than
they
you've
were strength
ever
4
had
previously.
for an Ork unit.
Power claws,
You've got some
strength 10.
classic stuff returning, so you've got a burner back in this
Big
unit
fan
now,
of not having a roll to hit.
which is pretty cool. You've got loads of different options for your boss's weapon. And the thing I want to draw your attention to is almost kind of tucked away right at the bottom of that stat line
Yeah.
there.
And
is
the wrecking ball
strength
or
of a
the
basic
wrecking ball
Ork boy
equivalent
is now
options
5.
looks like
And
there are
that
2
is-
attacks rather than 1
that
like
is
the
an
wrecking ball
across
was.
the codex
the,
update to your Orks. Every single Ork is at least strength 5 all of the time now. So that goes for
Hey,
boys.
that's
it
a
also
big
goes for
update. That's
your kind of
huge.
beast snaggers and all of the things.
So
like
it doesn't
knobs
look
and
like
ball
they've
boxes
gotten
and things
attacks
get
across the
commensurate,
board, but
increase as
strength
well.
going up
So
universally
your
is
already
massive.
pretty scary Orks get even scarier all the time in close combat.
Fantastic. I think it just looks like a load of great information. I'm really excited
I'm
about
going to have
this
a great
codex.
time with this codex.
Yeah,
I'm going to have a really good time.
And it heralds something really interesting. The last thing to talk about with the codex is obviously in the back of it, it includes the code that you will put into your Warhammer 40,000
good.
app to unlock
Warhammer app
access to
codes.
rules.
We
it
love
does
that.
something else on top of that. This is kind of like your passport to ongoing content for your Warhammer 40,000 Ork codex throughout its lifespan. There will be regular drops of lore and rules so that you can continue to get great stuff out of your codex as the time continues. They've given us a sneak peek into some of the stuff that's coming, and it sounds both really cool and really thematic. So I'm quite excited to see what happens.
I love the idea that
and then I imagine all the other codexes.
instead of a codex being
Perfect.
a lore and art repository that you can have as a physical object, it is now a code to unlock online lore content. Get fucked, dude. That's stupid.
The 41st millennium later on in the show. For now, though, we're going to segue into something which is quite interesting. We've talked a lot about ways to get people who are new to Warhammer started with Warhammer 40,000. So let's talk for a little bit about the Warhammer Academy.
Are we going on a fucking geocaching hunt over here? What is this? Yeah. Yar har har me mateys, for sure. All we need is we need a couple.
Wise wizard beneath the mountain. We are in search of enlightenment. Long and difficult has been our journey, and many things are still hidden from us.
Tell me what you seek.
What is the difference between the Black Rage and the Red Thirst?
How do you get decals to lay smoothly on a Space Marine shoulder?
Yeah.
And how exactly do you use command points?
Ah! So you seek to learn the ways of Warhammer.
Welcome, Joe. I mean, this is good.
So, Wise Wizard beneath the mountain. What is the Warhammer Academy?
I'm so glad you asked, Eddie. Warhammer
That was an
Academy is
impressive
really
outfit
exciting.
swap,
We've been
not
working
gonna lie.
on behind the scenes here at Games Workshop for
That
a while
chest
now,
was stuff
and
to
is
buy.
the perfect way to answer the question: how do I get started with Warhammer? The idea is that
Oh
you
God,
come
is it
to
an
this
AI
website,
chatbot?
free to use?
Oh,
and they can get
it
guided
will
first
be.
steps
You're so
on
fucking
how
right.
to begin exploring Warhammer. So there's going to be at launch like well over 100 videos.
Okay. No, it's video
lessons
content.
that
Woo!
deal with the
Woo!
lore and collecting,
Woo!
with
All right.
painting and modeling, and with gaming.
We
to
dodged
get
a
you
bullet
on
there,
your
chat.
First steps. I'm out of breath. I had to throw this.
The whole
question
setup
out,
was to give him time to
get
change.
you started
Yeah,
on your
they fucking
first steps
trekked.
through Warhammer.
They trekked like
when the
3
website launches,
teenagers
we'll
through
focus
the
on
fucking
Warhammer 40,000
Highlands
to coincide
so that
alongside
he
the
can
new
change
product
into a
so that people
cloak.
can, like,
That's so
experience
true.
Warhammer for the first time. And go through sort of learning all about the universe and what the factions and the armies are, and really going on that same journey.
They had to teach this. They had to get this hapless actor to ask Adam Troke
and then
what
the paint
Black
scheme,
Rage
these
was.
Amazing videos that start really basic and then go all the way through to some really great techniques that will have your army looking fantastic. And then the gaming side takes it from the assumption you've never played a game of Warhammer before and takes you all the way through to playing your first game.
All right,
of Warhammer,
unironically,
which we played,
pretty
and had
good.
a lot of fun with.
As long as it doesn't cost a bunch
so
of money.
you should be able to have
That would
a
be
wonderful
bad.
experience. If you are completely new to Warhammer or there's somebody in your life that wants to get started,
What we don't
this is a
want to
wonderful
do
thing to point them
is
towards
pay
when
gate
we
the new
launch it,
player content.
and they'll be able to take their first steps.
Unless
If
we
you
do
wanna
want to do
sharpen your
that,
own
in which
skills, we
case
talked
that's fine
about,
because more
most
people will watch
working
on
on the academy,
YouTube
you can build your
tutorial
skills, Your
videos.
confidence and your experience to get the most out of this wonderful Warhammer hobby that we all enjoy. And so the whole purpose of this academy, which is free to use,
Free.
is to just get on board and sharpen those
free,
skills
chat.
and your confidence and have a great time.
That's good.
Sounds wonderful.
Nice.
New-
And
The
release
new
is
player experience for
alongside
Warhammer is
those
fucking
Warhammer 40,000
atrocious.
starter sets that we
I
talked
applaud
about
them for
previously.
finally
So
doing
not
something
long
like
now,
this.
a month or so, and then
It's
you'll be able
weird
to
because
see
Warhammer is like
Academy
the
for
biggest. It is the entry point for
Perfect.
99%
I'm
of
really excited.
people into
Right.
the miniature gaming
Now I'm going
hobby.
to get out of this question,
but
and while we do, let's travel to the old world.
but it has absolutely atrocious fucking new player experience. Coaching. Incredible. I'd love to be coached by a Warhammer staff member. I would buy that just for the experience, for sure. Nice. Those look great.
Welcome back. I've returned to normal, and we are now thrilled by some news for Warhammer the Old World. That was a great looking box of miniatures. There's a lot to talk about. We've got some of the models here to get close-ups on in a little while. For now, let's dive into that new two-player
like
box
starter sets
for
that give you
Warhammer the
codex
Old World.
assets? Yeah.
This features two armies going head-to-head. You have
We
the
live streamed
Grand
this
Cafe
poor guy
going
over
up
the
against Chaos
weekend.
Warriors. Within it, you will see
Last weekend at Summer Ruin, and it was his first tournament ever. He was brand new to the game and hadn't played before, and he pulled out his This is like so emblematic of like what's wrong with the new player experience for 40k. He pulled out his assembly guides for all the kits he had bought, which had the stats on them. So he's reading off stats that are just totally fucking wrong. And he has no idea because he got what he thought was a unit profile, like reference card, in with his sets. And he went, oh, neat. All I have to do is like grab this page from the assembly guide and that'll tell me what my unit does. Nope. Those have been outdated for like 5 years and nobody has ever fucking discussed it. Absolutely fucking unhinged.
Villains, or the archetypal visuals, really, of Warhammer, the old world. This is a really cool army. All the bits
The
in
terrain
this
pieces
are
on Warhammer
multi-part,
3D
and
printed.
you've got
Yeah, all
the
their
Warhammer
showcase stuff is
unique
always
characters.
3D printed.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Chaos Warriors are kind of the mainstay of the Warriors of Chaos Army.
Like all these
These
models are
elite
3D printed.
heavy infantry in the best
Once we
army
see high quality
you get in
photography, we'll be
Warhammer
able to
Old
see
World,
the
and
print
they
lines for
drive
sure
forward in
into
ranks
some of the
hard
recesses
skilled
and
warriors,
stuff.
and they will deal punishment when they get there. Of course, they are
Like these are all pink. These are all sent to the heavy metal team before the
iconic of the Warriors of
before
Chaos
stuff
unit
goes into
are the
production for
Chaos
sure.
Knights. These are super elite.
They
heavy
shouldn't put
cavalry.
profiles in the
Inside
boxes
this
at
new
all.
box,
I
you
agree.
get 4 Chaos Knights.
I think that that's
The
very
classic size,
relevant.
if you remember days of yore, going back in time a long way now. When
How does that
Chaos
guy
Knights
blow
used to
that
be
horn, by the way?
units of 4. So you have what you'd expect.
He has a visorless helmet with no like
an
mouth
additional knight.
opening.
They can be swapped out with the
How does he
knights
do
you
that?
see
Can we
going
talk about
back.
that for a sec? This guy is he supposed to blow that. Does he take the helmet off? Is that what he does? That doesn't make sense. He's the power of chaos. Maybe he gives it to the horse. Maybe the horse does it. Fucking Shuma, we're on the same page. That's so fucking funny.
Right, like
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
you build an army for Warhammer the Old World, you're like, well, I can take a charge, but could I take a charge from Chaos Knights?
Probably.
Like
It's a
the
Slaanesh
absolute pinnacle
secret.
of the hardest
The
thing you
secret
can
of
get.
blowing.
So lots of people very keen to include this unit in
Nice.
their army. If you've got Chaos Force, so almost never see a Chaos army without a unit of Chaos Knights. They're just so effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the force is led by some champions of chaos. You have one on foot and one on horse. This one here you can see is modelled as a battle standard bearer. The kit contains enough options that you can swap around the things. So in a moment, as we see the screen progress, you'll
This
see
guy's
some of the things you
so
can do. It
like
also has
old
a
metal
chaos,
model coded.
champion on
The
a
fucking
mount.
flat
This is my
helmet
favourite
with
model
the
in the set.
horns
It is
in line with the
beautiful.
other
That is a
thing.
really iconic image of a
I think
chaos
it looks like the artwork of Chaos Warriors from some of those old Warhammer Fantasy
yeah.
army books, and the miniatures have finally got to the point where they can capture like the thing that you sort of imagined that Chaos Warriors what you wanted them to look like all those years ago. It's just such a cool kit. I love the standard bearer as well. I think this champion kit is one of the best sort of hero kits that Warhammer has yet released.
Yeah, I don't have a Chaos Army for Warhammer. I never have, but I would really like to get my
Yeah,
hands on
they're
one.
talking about
It works beautifully.
like this
So,
stuff,
let's talk for a little bit about that box. It's a 2-player core box for
Which they've-
Warhammer the Old World. It's
they've
essentially
really like
what
never
you
been
need
able to do
start
before.
playing Warhammer
That was
the
like
Old World.
biblically
It's
accurate
an
Warriors of
enormous
Chaos,
box.
where all these like
It contains
ornate
the
things, and
armies.
then you
It
looked at the
also
miniature, and he was
contains
just
the
like a
rulebook
flat
and, a
man.
master list. The rulebook is the same rules as you currently use for Warhammer the Old World. So if you're sat there worrying that this is going to change the rules that you're playing with, it won't. The difference really with this rulebook and the rulebook you already have, if you're already playing the Old World, is that the erratas and things that exist online are woven into this. So that should make life a little
You
bit
can bring
easier.
just this book, and you don't need to worry about any other documents. Or anything. You can
Exactly.
just have
And
the-
then further to that, it has an additional section called Battle March. We'll talk more about that in a little
I
while.
saw another miniature when we were showing off some of that.
Yeah,
Chaos
we'll
stuff.
just talk about the muster list before we go. Muster list is the rules for the models that are in the box. There you go. This is how to play Warhammer all in one handy box, and is very exciting and continues the thing that we know and love. Now,
Let's talk dragons, Adam.
yeah, let's talk dragons. We're all very excited. This might be my favourite thing in the entire preview. It
Hey,
is such
that's
a
cool.
show-stopping model. This is the Warriors of Chaos
old
War on
Chaos Dragon,
and
the
there's so
double-headed
much to
Chaos
talk
Dragon was
about.
always
You
sick,
just
but he
get the
looks so
sense of
fucking
the size of
hokey.
it just from that shot where it was already taller than the 3-story buildings
Yeah,
that are
no
behind
kidding.
it. It is an absolutely enormous, phenomenally cool miniature.
Think
for
I could
Warhammer
use
the
this
Old
as a
World. I
greeter
think
demon,
probably the
chat?
biggest monster
Can I turn this into a
we've
Lord of
had
Change?
released yet.
It's got to be right up there, and there have been some fantastic kits since Warhammer the Old World launched. There's things to talk about. The first, I want to just wax lyrical on how cool Chaos Dragons
Should
are. We've
spin
seen
the
this
book
image
again.
before of
You
Chaos
gotta see the
Dragons
back of
with
the
two
book. It's
heads.
important.
There used to be like a special character. Chaos
Yeah, you
Dragon.
had Garak the Chaos Dragon, which was the kind of one that had eaten the Lord of Change, and then before that you had Von Horseman,
That's right,
who
yeah.
was the kind of former College of Magic in the Empire
There you
character
go.
who was on a 2-headed Zinchian dragon. but that's a long time ago. We've never had a plastic version of it. A plastic two-headed Chaos Dragon has been a long time coming.
What was the
And I
character
think
Chaos
even
Dragon
though we
called? Like
waited
Gorok or
decades
something?
For it, this is worth the
Gor-
wait. This is a
Gorok?
really cool model.
It's also what we sometimes call a two for kit, in that you can make a different option with it. So you've seen the Chaos Lord. This is a Sorcerer Lord, and there's some differences. The first is the Rider. Obviously, he's like now a hunched and wizened Chaos Sorcerer, which is a powerful unit in its own right. It can be up to a level 4 wizard. He's not bad in a fight. He's backed up by a two-headed Chaos Dragon. Everything you would
Yeah,
want
you're not
to
going to kill
enjoy.
him with a light cavalry unit. Are you?
No, absolutely not. Additionally, there's some slight
Galrock?
differences with the dragon itself.
Nice.
You'll notice that this one has sort of different frills and things. So if you wanted two dragons, you could have different riders on them, and they would look a bit different. And then you, with a
Yeah,
little
just
bit of,
remember he had
sort of
this
paint
really
magic,
weird.
what you've
He
got
had this
is
like
very
interesting
striking,
design
different
where he had two
dragons in
heads,
your
but it
army.
was because the heads were
Very
like pulling
exciting centerpiece
apart.
model.
And so they were very clearly
two
two halves of one original head, which
possibly
was like really
even
funny
better in the
looking.
flesh, and we have it
I
on the
liked
desk
it.
here.
It was very
you can see it
Lovecraftian.
looming over some of these new Chaos Warrior
the model?
models.
Yeah, one of the things we haven't mentioned as well is just next to the Chaos Dragon, just below it here, whichever one you don't build. So if you build the Chaos Lord on the dragon, you get a Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot, and if you build the Sorcerer Lord,
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
here he
dragon,
is.
you get a Chaos Lord on foot. So whatever way you build this, you get basically two very
Yeah,
powerful
so this is
hero
the
mages.
Sorcerer Lord that you would get if you build it with the Chaos Lord, and then this is the Chaos Lord on foot if you build it with the Sorcerer. So, oh crikey, always worried I'm going to destroy heavy metal model.
I always thought this was really sick. Like you could
really,
clearly see that like
great
this was
kit. You
half
can
of
see
one
all the
head
other
and this
things
was
you've got.
half like this
Size
was
of it
half
as well.
of
I
the
mean,
original
these
head
are
and this
big
was half the
models.
other head,
The
and they were like
Chaos Lords are not small
reforming
cavalry models.
actively
These are about
into
4
a
times the
second
height of
head.
it.
I was
So
like,
it's
that's
a big old
fucking
beast.
sick,
And
dude.
also just phenomenal.
What a
good in
great
the game,
miniature
like a
from
Chaos
back in the
Lord
day.
on a two-headed Chaos
Michael
Dragon
Allen,
is up there with the very best
7,269
units
donated
in all of Warhammer the Old World. There's almost
$1.99
nothing that
through
we go
Super
toe-to-toe.
I
Chat.
just want to, before we
Boo
move on,
TTS takedown, have you noticed any glitch/bugs?
I haven't yet. I think so far all that's had to happen is that the mods are privated and or delisted from the Steam Workshop. So the assets themselves for Tabletop Simulator are still around. Oh, that guy doesn't look too big, chat.
So they're meant to look like
That guy looks like
logical
he's
extensions
probably
of the
about a
kind of
Lord of Change,
Marauder
right?
absolutely,
archetype.
they're very
So
much.
I
sort
bet
of
you could
the
run that as a
sort of
Lord of
Chaos
Change.
armored
Will you
barbarian
take the Chaos
from
guy
the
off?
Lord
There's
Descendant
still a
model.
little bit of that kind
I
of
bet
like
you could.
barbarian
I bet
raider
it'd be
vibe
good.
to them. They've got the look of someone who's kind of
Um,
the Arctic North.
give him a little stick.
So
And what was I gonna say? Yeah, so
Right.
I guess he's got two heads. You could make him into Kairos. That would be sick. So you can still play TTS, and to my knowledge, for the time being, it will still be playable because the assets are hosted elsewhere. And as long as the original asset file doesn't get delisted offline, then if you have a save of that mod, it will still work. The save is basically like all the scripting and then links to where TTS can import all the assets when you load a game. So as long as those original assets are still wherever they were originally, you can still grab them. There is an indication that Games Workshop is trying to get the assets themselves delisted, but I don't know if that's actually possible or will happen. In the worst possible scenario, there are workarounds that are currently being developed by people within the community. I guess I'll say I don't want to like name any names or anything. But I think I will probably have a video out on Sunday for how new ways to install a lot of the mods that we originally use that are not contingent on the Steam Workshop. I think that's going to be the current timeline. Basically, I'm in contact with the people who are working on it in order to get like the most up to date news and stuff. So as soon as they're comfortable with like releasing stuff publicly, then I'll throw a video up about it. Yeah. So if you have saves, saves on your hard drive of any of the mods, they will still work for the time being. So if you're missing any mods, I would recommend you find somebody who has them and just like go into a lobby and save that lobby as a custom game. And then you can go in and open those mods until such time as the file host gets delisted. So it's not like Games Workshop banned you from playing 40K on Tabletop Simulator. You can still do that. It's just that the mods are not currently public on the Steam Workshop. So the biggest people who are impacted by this are people who are just getting started in the game, which is fucking awesome that they did that a week after the edition came out, because there's a bunch of people getting in on the new edition and immediately can't play online. Fucking awesome, dude. But it's also likely going to be the case that it's more difficult for to install the new versions of these mods. So these like new people who are getting into online play are just going to have a tougher time than people had in the last couple of years, which is unfortunate because we were really in like this fucking awesome golden age where it was really easy to play online. You could find a lot of people. I mean, like the size of my league like doubled in the last year. So it just is unfortunate.
But it's very similar. Let's talk about Blood Bowl for a minute. Blood Bowl is the game of fantasy football, and there is some really exciting things to show with the release of the new Spike Journal.
Yeah,
this is
just
Spike
dumb.
Journal 22.
It's
Blood
just dumb
Bowl
and spiteful to the
7s is
community.
the theme. What's Blood Bowl 7s? I hear you ask. Well,
What's
I'm glad
Blood Bowl
you did.
7s, Adam?
There you go. Perfect. Blood Bowl 7s.
Fortunately, there are other games with
essentially,
TTS support.
a
Yeah,
way of
chat.
playing Blood
The
Bowl,
Breachstorm
which is
Tabletop
into
Simulator
rugby
mods are
sevens
not
or
delisted
five-a-side
and
football.
will not
So
be
you're
ever.
compacting your team. You're playing fast
Because
on a smaller pitch.
we made them ourselves.
Very frenetic. It really changes quite a lot of the tactics.
It's
and the
not
way that you
copyright
play,
infringement if we use our own
makes for
copyright.
a entirely different and very fun experience. You get 4 of your positionals in this game, so you've got quite a lot of skills and things on the tabletop, and it's just a lot of fun. I'm excited for this, but I'm even more excited for what we're about to show you, which is some fantastic new Blood Bowl miniatures. The first of which is a new big one available for several teams. This is the Rat Ogre.
I love this model. I think the thing that I most love about it is if you look on his shoulder, he has a little rat with a piece of cheese and a flag on his tail.
That is beautiful.
That
but
is a
is
cute
it
little
better
rat.
or as good as a rat wearing a gas mask and carrying a lump of warp stone?
It's very close, and I think you'll have to make that decision for yourself.
That
how you
certainly
get
is
hold of your own rat ogre. I
You
think the
could
cheese takes
build
just
your
an
rat
old
ogre
Warhammer
without either of
fantasy
those
rat
rats, but
you could if you wanted to not have a rat on his shoulder. You guess you could do that.
That is like
Funny
a
is-
Does
a
anyone want
slight
that?
This is also
upscale
a
of
great
the
model, but if
OG
you're
Rat
not
Ogre,
taking
I
one of the
guess. I
rats,
don't know.
I think you've got mad. This is available for a number of teams.
Looks great, though, I
Obviously,
guess.
you can use it in the Skaven team, but also the Underworld Denizens and the Chaos Renegade teams. If you want some real muscle to go in there and just clobber the enemy, break the enemy line so that your team can run through.
You've
and
got
score
some
goals.
mutation options in there as well. I
Yeah,
can see.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of big uns, there's another one on the way. This is a Minotaur.
Or Minotaur.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another one of those iconic, heavy-hitting Blood Bowl units, and it's again available for a variety of Blood Bowl teams.
We got some 3D print lines, chat. Look at that right there. Glorious.
A fit more in with
Glorious
the team that you're
SLA.
used to using.
Yeah, so this one here on the screen at the moment, rather than hands or even hooves, has got kind of
Yeah,
scorpion
why
claws.
catch the ball, right?
Yeah, he's not going to do much catching, but he might do even better clobbering than a regular Minotaur.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, those are wonderful. The thing I'm most excited about, not just for this.
I should go to a
Blood Bowl,
Warhammer store
reveal,
sometime,
but maybe
Chad.
in
I haven't
all of
been
Blood
to a
Bowl
Warhammer
is
store
our
in like
next
He is
reveal.
your favourite, Adam.
Morgan Thorg is my favourite thing
Chad
about Blood Bowl. I
years?
absolutely love him. He's been an
15
iconic
years? 15
character
years,
from,
probably.
like, right from the start. There is a new multi-part
Back when they were
plastic
Games Workshop
Morgan Thorg model
stores.
coming, and he is wonderful.
This
Which
is
makes
just
an
straight
attempt to
up
make him in one of
the
3 very
old
iconic designs.
miniatures
This is a
in
White Gun Reavers
4K.
one, which
These
really
are so
connects
like
to that
third
iconic
ed
artwork that you
Warhammer
used
Fantasy
to see
coded.
with
It's
Morg.
crazy.
Here is another version. This is him in his gouged eye motif when he played for an Orc team.
That looks like that's a Nork Dead Dog stand-in if I ever saw one, chat. Strap a Ripper gun to that guy's back, and you got a real nice Ogre bodyguard.
He's still got hair.
And you can see he's also got each of the Chaos Gods icons on his little chain around his neck as well, which is really
These
cool.
are going to be
Absolutely
great
love it.
coordinate
If you
spawn,
are
100%.
unfamiliar with
Dude.
Blood Bowl or Morg in particular, let me just tell you, he is
For sure.
genuinely one of the
Adam,
best
can you
things-
take him in a halfling team?
You can, and I have used him to lead my halflings to almost glory
Almost
a number
glory,
of times. I love him. He's so good. He hits like a freight train. He's really heavily armored. He's got great skills, mighty
This
blow,
must be a
lots of
hard
armor,
job that these
everything
guys
you
have
possibly
because
want.
they have to
And he
play
just select
Blood
points.
Bowl
It's
for
like he's
it.
really cheap,
Can he
so that
throw
they can
halfling?
like
He can
pretend
throw
to
a
know what they're
halfling.
talking
In fact,
about.
My halfling, my favorite halfling.
My heart goes out to
scored
them.
him in.
I could not do
Nearly
that.
died.
I-
He would be lobbed down the pitch. I could talk about Morg for far
I
too
would
long.
rather be
It's coming
homeless,
soon. I'm very
I
excited.
think.
Please let me have one. Let's look at the models. Okay,
I gave you all the Morgs.
There we go. These are the beautiful heavy metal painted Morg models, and here you
Yeah,
can
I mean,
see,
monopose is kind of
what
the
they
name of the
look
game these days.
So
Like basically
going,
every
sort
model
of from this side onwards,
assembles
this
in
is
one
more
way.
for you to build them in that sort of gouged
But for
iron
Blood
shape.
Bowl, where it's a
Armor
game like
different
you where you
armor,
basically don't have
sort of
duplicates of
black
models,
orc,
like
Different
monopose
armor,
is much
different
less,
head, different
less
chest
problematic.
plates. You've got a bunch of different options.
Yeah, and then this is Morg with the Reichland Reavers uniform, and then
Blood Bowl is
the
weirdly
first edition
popular.
Blood Bowl?
Yeah, it's because
yeah,
it's
number-
like
number of
OG.
them, really. I think
It has a
couple of covers. And
it has
then,
a following
one
from
for
like
the
back
Council
in the
Stars,
day,
you
you
can,
know.
use this one, but ultimately build your Morg how you want. And
It's
this
like
one
the
personally
classic
is awesome
Grognard
touchdowns.
game.
There you go.
We have the other models on the table as well. You can see the Minotaur, a Rat Ogre. and a
Having
Minotaur.
having played it though,
Yeah,
I
yeah, really good
tower
shot
above
of
the
that.
average lineman.
like I understand the appeal,
That's the real star.
but I don't.
Perfect. So there we go.
Like, I don't-
a good time for Blood
I
Bowl.
don't get
3
the appeal, I
amazing
guess.
big, characters coming your way. And you got
like
to
I
control
understand
in
how like
general.
having a
I'm
game
very
where
excited about this.
like your
We are
ability to
nowhere
do
near
anything
done
is
with this
basically
premium.
inconsequential, and you just
Right,
like roll dice.
Why don't we go?
Like
to
I
the
understand
darkness?
how that's fun if you're like super drunk or whatever, but I couldn't imagine like getting really invested in that. Oh, the old jet bikes, the Forge World jet bikes are back. I think we'll get a real Gravis Palace or a Palace Grav Attack data sheet. That's not a joke. That'd be cool. The models look like they were designed by ChatGPT.
Really
no,
excited to
they're
talk
just
now
trying to
about
ape the
Adeptus
old
Custodians or
the
Legio
old
Custodians.
style.
Well, which one is it, Eddie?
It's both, Adam, because
Perfect.
the new box set that's on its way is a reinforcement set for the custodians, and you can use it for either Warhammer the Horus
donated
Heresy or
$5
Warhammer
through
40,000,
Super Chat.
just in case you got
So
the
I
logos.
got the
The
job.
logos on the box.
Yeah, you
So
just need to learn
no
how to play
confusion,
Dreadfleet.
absolutely
Walks out of the room.
Don't accept the job offer, thank you.
When you realize how big they
until you
are.
look at the models, which are huge and awesome. So let's start with the fastest unit in that box.
Yeah, these are the Gerfalcon jet bikes, an iconic unit from the
Gerfalcon.
Legio Custodes Force.
Is that what they were called
They are
in fucking
fast-moving,
Forge
hard-hitting,
World?
heavily armed and armored units, which are designed to storm in and break the back of enemy forces.
I thought they were like
Each
Agamattis jet
custodian is
bikes or
armed,
something.
like to the teeth. There's loads of things to talk about here. The first thing would be to mention that there's different guns. That
Oh no, they were
on
called
these
Gear
models.
Falcons
Essentially, you have a
on
choice of the
Warhammer.
Adrathic Devastator,
.com at
Arachnis
least.
Polygon, Twin.
These
Corvette
look way
clusters.
better
That's
than the
the
old
overrun
models,
one. You can
though.
see it
Look at
looks
this
like
old
overrun
model
shotgun.
shit.
And then you also have the Lastrum bolt cannon. So loads of different weapons to do loads of different jobs.
That's a
Yeah.
yikes for me,
So
dog.
one of the things in a Custodes army, obviously, is you haven't got a lot of
This
units
does look
because they tend to
dramatically
cost a lot
worse
of points. So you
than
might
these
find
new
that you've got a
plastics.
couple
The
of,
plastics look
things
great.
that your army's not very good at killing. And one of the things that units like this can do with loads of different options is you go, actually, I really need some help to kill monsters or infantry or something. So you can kit these out with almost a gun for almost any occasion, right?
Absolutely.
You can have different guns across the
It's
unit.
interesting
or
to have
you
like
can
a
actually go, I just
dedicated
want them all
range
to be
support
really good at killing
platform,
vehicles, give them the-
like
the
non-vehicle range
specific
support
vehicle, I
platform
think, that
for
weakest thing.
Yeah,
Adeptus
all of them
Custodians.
also have a Solarite Power Lance, which is a formidable power weapon,
It is
especially on the chart.
enormous. The Solarite Lance, it's about 3 times the length of a Space Marine.
Yeah,
I
it's
reckon you could
huge.
kebab about 5 Chaos Space Marines on that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 4 of these inside the set, which is a brilliant
Oh!
unit to go.
I'm being gaslit.
And just bring paint.
They
in.
absolutely
Not the
were
only
called
thing that's like in
Agamattis
this
jet
box,
bike
we also have
squads.
The Palace Grab.
Warhammer's trying to
Yeah,
gaslight
Grab
me
is
that they
a
weren't called.
fast-moving skimmer for the Custodes.
They weren't
You've got
called
them,
that. Oh, I guess
capable
it's called a
anti-infantry
Gear
or
Falcon jet
anti-vehicle
bike.
stuff. It works
But
a
the
little bit
squad
like,
is called an
a
Agamattis
land
jet
speed
bike
is probably
squad.
the way
That's
to think
stupid.
about it, and it's very useful for Custodes because you tend to have a lot of very expensive models, so you don't have very many small units. So this can zip around the battlefield, taking objectives, getting the enemy.
Please
where they're
release a new
hiding, the
data
way
sheet
that
for
your
these guys.
infantry,
I love this
they're very
model.
good at
I think
holding
he's so
ground, but not
fun.
very good at kind of
I love
shooting
the idea of the little
Yeah, and this is
single,
another
like
one of
single
those
occupant, like
units you can use to sort of
tiny,
cater
like
for where
attack
you think
vehicle.
you might need additional strength. Has 2
Also,
weapons.
unironically, really good in
Twin
11th
Arachnis
edition,
blaze
just
cannon,
as a
or the
unit
twin
archetype.
Aeastus accelerator
But they are
fusion.
silly
So those
bad
hurry.
in the
So
current
you can
incarnation.
tailor your
They're
palace
extremely
to
good at
deal
killing
with
exactly
it.
2 Space Marine
Well,
scouts
I
and then
think
dying.
the model, the
showstopper.
showstopper of this box is undoubtedly the Telemon Dreadnought. This is a brand new multi-part plastic kit, a reinvention
fucking
of
sick,
the
though.
resin version, the already very nice resin version of the Telemon Dreadnought, but in glorious multi-part plastic, keeping all the posability with even more detail and even more weapon options.
Yeah, speaking of weapon options, I'll walk you through them. Between its shoulder blades, you can see the Spiculus missile launcher, but there are other weapon options
Looks
too.
great.
You can see the Iliastus accelerator culverin,
Yeah,
the
the
Adrathic Devastator,
Warhammer, the
and
40K
Arachnis
logo. I mean,
storm
it's just
cannon.
literally on the screen right
On
now.
his other hand, so you can build those as you
The
will,
40K
choose
logo
one
on
that
this
suits
is
your
very
layout. On
heartening
the
for
other
sure.
hand, you have
Having
Estus,
seen the new Custodes in action,
essentially
like the
fancy
new
Legio Custodes
miniatures,
tanks
they
with
look
Power Fist
fucking awesome.
with twin Neutronium
it is
Cascade
difficult
projector.
to.
So it's a bit like a flame.
It doesn't look like they're like that much
Absolutely.
nicer than the
Neutronium's
existing
more
ones. They
deadly
kind of
than
look like the
flame,
same
apparently.
thing until you see them in person. And
One
you're
of those guns is, of
they're
course,
like
new, the one that's
proportions are less
currently equipped,
stupid. Their
the
poses are less
Custodians.
static.
Oh, I
Like
think you
just
are talking about
the
the,
individual
Aeastus
details are less
Accelerator.
like
exactly that
cartoony.
one. And it's just a really beautiful kit, right?
It's
So
like
you
a
could paint
very
this up
nice,
very
like,
quickly if you wanted
sharpening of
to,
the
like
design,
gold
which
spray
feels
and then
good.
a wash would make it look beautiful.
Also, back
But
to the
equally, if you
cone
wanted to
helmets,
take your
which I think
time
are
over all
iconic.
the detail of this. It is absolutely dripping in detail, more detail even than was on some of those resin versions of this when it came out. We have one on the table, and we brought along.
So I
other
believe that
dreadnoughts, so
the
you can sort of
infantry
see,
and
how it
like
scales up.
the heavy tanks
Yeah,
have
look,
been
this
revealed
Talon
already,
Dreadnought is ever so
but I don't
slightly larger
believe
than the
that
resin
these
one.
things
So
have
we
been
brought
revealed.
a Leviathan Dreadnought.
Do you remember when you saw a Leviathan for the first time and thought you're never going to think
Nothing could ever be cooler than a Leviathan Dreadnought, and he's still pretty cool. I like Leviathans
absolutely.
a lot. But the Talon Dreadnought stands a good head.
Leviathan
above
Dreadnought's
the,
pretty cool, guys. I don't know.
Even the Leviathan.
And
The Talamon's
with,
just bigger
last summer's
and
release,
shinier.
Lots of people may have got their hands on a Saturnine Dreadnought, and here you can see there's some similarity between these two in terms of the shape of the shoulder pad.
Oh, I love that they are basically
the
identical
Talon
to the
is a little
Saturnine in terms
taller.
of the silhouette, so you can basically just like
Saturnine
still use the
is a little
Saturnine
bit
Dreadnought as a
broader.
Telamon in 40K.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one definitely
'Cause I know a lot of
got
people
more
did that.
mass to it. Like the weight of it looks heavy, but the Telamon stands ever so slightly taller, which might just mean that the Custodies didn't want to kind of ever look up at a Space Marine. I think it's probably the point, isn't it?
Yeah, why not? I like it. So all of these models that we've talked about, so the Gerfalcon jet bikes, the Pallas Gravatac, and the Telamon Dreadnought will be available in plastic for the first time as part of this box set, and then available separately later down the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can use them, definitely use them for both Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Horus.
You absolutely can. One of the
A new
detachments
jet
for
bike
the
unit for
in Warhammer
Custodies
40,000 has
was
some
not on my
specific
bingo
upgrades
card,
for Talon
but
Dreadnought
well,
as
not
well.
new. It's like a
So-
re-release one,
It
but
is?
Great,
it
nice.
does seem like
So,
it's going to be
that's
sweet.
not everything for the
That is a
we
improvement
also have
of the
a new Journal
of the
Tactica
model
on
line
the
for
way.
sure.
This is Journal Tactica Prospero Burns, the Judgment of Valdor, and this deals with the actions of Constantine Valdor and the Legio Custodes during the burning of Prospero when they joined forces with
Bring
the
back
Space Wolves
Leviathan
to bring
Dreadnought?
judgment
Yeah, I don't
to
know.
Magnus and his
Leviathan has like so much.
Yeah, we know quite a lot about
so much
Burning
role
Prospero. We've
overlap
seen it
with the
from the Thousand
Redemptor.
Suns perspective. We've seen it from the Space Wolves
The problem
perspective.
is like I
We
think if you
know-
bring something like the Leviathan Dreadnought out, it's either strictly better or strictly worse than the Redemptor Dreadnought, and it's very difficult to differentiate the two.
you kind of find out.
What I think would be interesting if they brought back the Leviathan Dreadnought for like certain sub-factions, where it's like if you play Salamanders, you can play Leviathan Dreadnoughts or something. I think that would be cool. But if you bring them in for all Space Marines altogether, then like they just end up being better or worse than one of the existing Primaris Dreadnoughts, and you're just like, you know, it's like why even have both of them is the problem.
Or Salvation, possibly.
No,
as I see it.
absolutely not.
Maybe,
They
probably
haven't come
ruined.
in,
It is
they've got what they
probably
deserve.
ruined, yeah.
There's even more stuff in there than we've talked about here. There's some new rules for the Solo Auxilia. There's a whole bunch of stuff. This is a packed Journal Tactica, which really shines a light on an area of the Horus Heresy we've not looked at before. So it's quite
Yeah,
exciting.
and that's the best kind of Horus Heresy games. Ones where you're going back to those iconic moments in the lore and refighting it. Like, what if it was a little bit different? What if you had a slightly different mix? What if the tactics were different?
Yeah, absolutely.
Recreating those amazing stories is what it's all about.
So,
What if
sticking
my
with
armor
the Dark
penetration
Brigade,
roll
smaller
was
as we look
different?
At some,
Would that
Legions
change
Imperialis.
Possibly bigger.
But yes, bigger and smaller at the same time.
the
We
entire
have three models
course
we're
of
going
the
to talk about
heresy.
now. These are models for the Titan Legions. This is the Warlord Battle Titan with Quake Cannon and Conversion Beam Extirpator. To extirpate,
Make it
means to
15%
destroy
larger
utterly.
and make it a knight.
And
That
that's
would be
what the
sick.
weapon loadout on
Space
this,
Marines don't really have a
Warlord
super
Titan
heavy
will
right
do.
now.
As you see this
And it
video
would be
playing
interesting
before, you can
to,
see
like,
what
bring
the
that back
weapons
for
are.
them.
There's a whole bunch, and they have really long and difficult to say live on air names, such as
But
the
you should still
Conversion
try,
Beam
I think.
Extirpator.
Oh, it'd be
this
cool if
is
they
a
dropped Perturabo.
kit
Yeah, we do know he's
um,
coming, so
packaged all together, so you get the Warlord Titan and
That would be
all of
sick.
these weapons. It includes some extra bits and pieces. So there's some guns to go on the turrets. You've got Gatling blasters and turbo laser destructors. You have 2 Warlord heads inside the kit, and it also contains all the cards you would need to use this if you were playing Adeptus Titanicus.
Nice.
If you just want the weapons, they'll be available separately. You just won't get all the cards with it and stuff like that. Cool. This is one of 3 things we're going to talk about. The next one is the Warlord Battle Titan with Volkite Destructor.
Adeptus Titanicus good, chat?
Again, not
I read a comment recently where somebody was like shitting on it for being
Here is
terrible.
another
Is it
towering,
is it
god
famously
engine
bad or
of
is
the
it
Legio,
is the game
Titan
actually
Legions.
fun? It does look cool. I do like that. Like all the terrain is tiny buildings. I'm a big fan of tiny buildings. I think it's pretty fun.
Volkite Destructor, Macro Gatling Blaster, and the Vulcan Mega
It's a
Bolter array.
it's a G-dub side game, so it's probably bad.
Cards I mentioned before, if you wanted to play,
It's dog shit.
Adeptus
Oh,
Titanicus.
that's
And
sad.
if I had a slightly smaller Titan but still wanted
R.I.P..
lots of guns.
And complicated names, then you are going to be fine because this is the Titan Legion's Reaver Titan with Graviton.
But
Obliterator
but
and
Middle Earth
Vulcan
Strategy
Mega
Battle Game's a
Bolter.
side game, chat, and that game's actually good.
Titan that packs an incredible punch with
I haven't played the newest editions though, but from back in the day, it was legitimately fun.
Vulcan Mega
and had interesting mechanics in it.
And you just saw it there. My favorite, possibly, of all the names that we've had this evening, which is...
I think the big draw of these is that they're compatible with Legion's Imperialis, right?
And the cards you would need to play in Adeptus Titanicus. And you can get the weapon separately should you desire no more Titans. What's wrong with you? There we go. Pretty exciting should you play Little Heresy.
Absolutely.
There we go. I need to take a breather. Now might be the time to talk a little bit about something coming to Warhammer Plus very soon. There is a new animation. Look at the Butcher's Nails.
Who's the guy who maintains the Dreadclaw Assault Pod, you know? If you're a World Eater's cultist, and it's your job to, like, create requisition orders for new like, you know, engine housings for the Dreadclaw Assault Pods for your Legion. Who's that? Who is that guy? Is he chill?
Yeah, this is a new.
You think he like stabs people in his sleep or whatever?
It is a one-off standalone episode, so it's a Hammer and Bolter episode of Warhammer 40,000, and effectively it tells the story of a Khorne Berserker who is part of a chaos assault on an
back to the
as you would
the
imagine,
good standalone Hammer
story,
and Bolters.
It is incredibly violent. It is by some margin the bloodiest and most violent piece of Warhammer.
The Iron Warriors Hammer and Bolter episode is maybe one of my favorite pieces of 40k
from the moment
like
that
content.
The shots open to the final battles.
Fantastic. Here you can see a shot that we saw something like this in the trailer. This looks like the head-up display inside the helmet of the World Eater.
Yeah, so not all of it, but some of the animation is shown from the literal perspective of the World Eater, who is obviously a little bit unhinged. The Butcher's nails are starting to bite. If he doesn't get continuous kills and carnage, he starts to go kind of slowly insane.
I think they're closer to
Dreadnoughts. His way through as many enemies as he can find. Partly
the super heavy. What's up, baby kitty? The super heavies for in the 6mm games are like really awkwardly sized for 40k. Like I think they're like their knights are like very marginally larger than a 40k infantry and very marginally smaller than a 40k like Terminator equivalent. And like the big guys are like slightly bigger than a dreadnought and slightly smaller than a knight. So it's like, I think it's just really awkward to like transpose them, probably on purpose.
Non-stop action carnage fest. It's a really fun animation.
Perfect. And coming out fairly soon.
It comes out in August.
Awesome. That's very exciting. So from the Butcher's Nails and Warhammer Plus, let's go to the Mortal Realms for something more.
The maw opens, hungering predator, sun eater. The gulping god.
The gut plates just keep getting fucking bigger on these guys. Gut plates are shoulder pads for AOS.
In the meat, in the marrow, in the blood. He is the hunger that endures through winter and war. He calls us to feast, to swallow the realms. Eat, eat, eat. First we're gonna beat up, then we're gonna eat up. First we're gonna
Next this is just a gut plate.
First we're gonna beat up.
They look like the pots from Elden Ring, where it's like a pot with little stick arms and legs just like waddling around. They like roll around and spin and stuff.
That was
big mammoth?
very exciting.
Show me the big mammoth.
Large amount of models coming.
You
through into
fucking
the
coward.
Mortal Realms with these new Ogre tribes. Eddie, where do we even start?
I am super excited about this release. This is an enormous range refresh for the Ogre tribes. There's so much to talk about. I think let's start with the army set, which is coming out. This is the first place you'll get a chance to get your hands on some of the new miniatures. This is an enormous army launch set.
Oh, is
like
the,
what we've seen
is the
some
thing
of
the big
armies
cavalry
recently.
guys? Oh, that's
exactly like the Hellsmith. Same sort of concept. You get a cool version of the Battle Tome and the first chance to get hold of a bunch of the miniatures. Let's have a quick chat about some of the stuff in this set.
Sure. So first out the gates would be sort of the mainstay unit for the Ogre tribes. These are the Gluttons, the sort of replacement or refresh of what in old days you might have called Ogre Bulls. And boy, do they look good.
Yeah, the ogre bulls are still really
The fact
cool
that the
models,
gut
like,
plates
yeah,
are
but they
multi-piece is
they've been
like
around for
really
a while now. They're more
cool.
than 20 years
There's
old.
a lot of
Shocked me that
three-dimensionality
sorry about
to
that,
these
Alex.
models that
So they are
never had
well
before.
and truly deserving of a refresh. This is a really cool update for them. They still keep the kind of general
Like there's
aesthetic
like
of the
this
ogre bulls,
negative
but they're much more
space,
dynamic. They're a little bit bigger.
on a lot of
the
the
armor
parts
plates are
that
much more impressive.
you've never really seen before
They
on
like
like
the
old
shape of the
AOS
helmets, they look
models.
like they're designed to deflect sort of downward
Yeah,
blows away
and if
from
you
the
remember, like
shoulders as well.
the first time those models came out, they were designed for Warhammer Fantasy, where they'd have to rank up. So actually, the poses were quite sort of limiting on a
very
lot of the
dynamic.
miniatures.
Yeah, all
These
the
are much
ogres were like this.
cooler,
They had one
more
weapon
impressive
and another
poses. Even
weapon.
things like having those arms out, they just look
The
really
old,
great. The detail on them
classic
is
Warhammer
obviously
Fantasy
20 years on
pose.
from the last time we saw the ogre bulls. So these are really, really cool miniatures. You get 10 of these in that launch box. This is only the most basic of the ogre tribes units.
Fantastic.
Let's move on to, I think, might be one of my favorites.
Yeah, so mine too. I think the Iron Guts have always looked really cool, and these are even cooler if possible. The Iron Guts are an elite ogre unit. They carry enormous weapons, and
Those
they
are
wear
nice.
more armor. So you can see those armor plates on the arms going
Those are
all the way
great.
up to the shoulders. Their helmets are a little bit fancier, and they've got these massive two-handed weapons.
They look like they mean absolutely.
gut plates are like
the
kind of
size
silly
of those
big.
weapons.
I don't disagree.
And again, much more dynamic. But those
But
blades
I
are
do
twice
like
the
that
size
there's,
of a
like,
mortal human, right? So
they
they're gonna make
emphasize
an
the unique
absolute mess.
silhouette.
They already are an excellent
Like a lot of
unit. Warhammer,
AOS
Age of
tends
Sigmar,
to be sort of triangular, where you have this like really top-heavy profile that like goes down to a little skinny waist, and these guys are an inversion, right? And so like the base, the belly portion is really big, and it goes to a really tiny head. And I think that that's interesting because it really emphasizes the fact that they are visually like massively distinct from everything else in the range, which tends to have these like huge fucking shoulder pads and kind of limited showcase of the midsection. And these guys are literally just perfectly opposite. It also kind of makes sense from a lore perspective too, if they're used to fighting human-sized people who will be attacking them upwards. So protecting yourself from here down is important.
This battle tome as well, where the leader of your force is literally making a name for himself by achieving various feats. So being able to kind of have the pelts of the things he's defeated on him absolutely makes sense. Those units we've all seen before in different ways. The next unit is effectively a new type. These are the Maul Beast Cavalry and the Maul Beast Raiders. This is a 2-for kit, so you can make two.
He's got a
different
burb.
units. They
Inky like a
function in a
burb.
similar way. Both of them are cavalry units. The Maul Beast Raiders are your
looked
kind of
at it. That was
fast-moving scout unit. The Maul Beast Cavalry are your hard-hitting shock cavalry. They're a little bit more armored. The guy in the back has more weapons, whereas the Maul Beast
They look like
Raiders
from
have
a
some
different
ranged
series.
attacks.
Well, they're from a
These
different game.
effectively replace
Warhammer
the Mornfang cavalry
Fantasy
in
Battles.
your ogre list.
Warhammer Fantasy Battles 7th edition.
In the army.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about just how tough they are and how hard
They,
they hit in a
they
little
aren't-
while.
They aren't
so these are
silly
all the
cartoons
models that
like
come
they
inside
are
that new
like the
ogre
other
army set.
AOS
Obviously, you need
factions is
battle
the
tome
problem.
and the war scroll cards as well. This is the battle tome that comes for the ogre Moor tribes inside that set. It's got this lovely sort of finish to it. You can see the tyrant on the front. Obviously, there'll be standard editions of the battle tome out in due time, and you'll be able to get the models separately. But if you want first in on the new ogres, this is the way. It wasn't all we saw in that awesome video, though. Do you want to show the box?
Yeah,
It's
I've got
pretty
the
cool.
box right here. So this is the box. It's really lovely. That is all the stuff you get in there. So just to confirm, you get 10 of those gluttons. You get the tyrant. You get 2 of the cavalry, and you get that big unit of Iron Guts, and then you get your battle tome in there as well. So it's a really lovely set.
Fantastic. Right. So, what else is there to talk about? Well, I guess we saw some things which fit in a different sort of part of the ogre army with the sort of Maw Seekers component, right?
Yeah, so one of the bits of the ogre force is the kind of tyrant and the Iron Guts and things like that. But another fairly major part of ogre society are the Maw
I put
Seekers,
my
the
leg down
butchers, and the things that
sorry,
follow in
Didi.
the butcher's wake. The butcher again is a model that's been out for a very long time, well worth an update. This model is a phenomenally cool
He's
upgrade.
also deeply disturbing.
Yeah, I think you've got some strong feelings about exactly how unpleasant
grody.
this particular model.
Really
The model's
unsettling.
great, but he's
Is his
definitely
gut
a bit
plate lined
grody.
by
And the longer you
human
look,
skin?
the more disturbing it gets.
Classic.
The way he's holding the corpse.
Oh,
in
it's his
hand,
apron.
The gore
Oh, that's
sloshing
fun.
around in his cauldron, and all this for what is essentially a really beefy ogre wizard.
Yeah, butchers are sort of part wizard,
Yeah,
part chef,
these guys-
part
these are
shaman,
cool.
part mystic to the ogres. They're really important to ogre society. Ogre society basically is all about eating.
They might
All
talk
ogres
about
at
it
their
here.
core have this kind of unending hunger.
But in Warhammer Fantasy, their whole thing was that their magic changed depending on what they ate while casting it. So like
butchers try to tap into
their lore was that they would always try to butcher the most exotic ingredients because then they could cast the weirder spells. Oh yeah, they're gonna talk about it.
Into magic in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So all their spells
They're
were
more
like
devotees of the
tooth
Gulping
cracker,
God
eye
coming.
gobbler,
This
or
is
whatever,
one of those
where
kits.
you would like
These are
eat
the
a component of the
cleavers,
enemy and it would
they are
affect them in that
kind
way,
of
which is like kind of a
butchers
cool
in
concept.
training, right?
Yeah, these are fanatics of ogre society who follow in the wake of the butchers. They do a range of different things. After a battle, they'll collect up all the various body parts and offal and bits of enemies to throw into the cauldron for the butcher. They are kind of fanatically driven disciples of the butchers and of the god Moor.
I love that these guys are all like fucking scarred up because it looks like they just
worked up a
like
horror with these.
yeah,
it looks like they're a little like they're distended, but it also looks like they just like
gore up to the elbows.
They just get
awful. These are incredible. They're not the only things within this.
They get clipped by the knives every once in a while.
Also makes another option, so you can either make the.
I guess also.
Or you can make these
if they're just
Gutseers are even more horrible and sinister,
covered in
the
grody shit all the time.
These
Maybe their skin
into
cracks.
the power of Moor, and the way that they work in game is that your wizards become more powerful and can effectively cast spells through these guys when they're nearby. The thing that I really like about them from a miniature perspective is those gut plates. If you look at the gut plates on something like the Iron Guts, they have just armored guts, whereas these
they look like teeth, maybe.
But these guts look like intestines or offal or.
And they're kind of rendered in really like arcane parody. It's something
I love
very
it. I think it's really. They look like they'd be loads of fun to paint.
Yep. And then, of course, at the center of all of this is Red the Moor. This is the High Slaughtermaster, sort of like the head of this cult of the Gulping God. Eddie, what can you tell us about Red?
This is a brand new character for the Ogre Moor tribes. This is one of the most powerful characters in your Ogre army. One of the most powerful characters in all of Age of Sigmar. Goes to battle on this enormous kind of cauldron construct that's called into battle by a gorge.
These guys are cool, but I hate them. I think that's the idea.
So more
I think they're supposed to elicit a feeling of
all the kind of various
absolute
fanatics that follow in
disgust.
Their wake. You've got this enormous cauldron, which I assume is where the enemy army goes after the battle. They get thrown in there.
Yeah, very Fallout one for sure. You could imagine him like hanging up those big meat bags, like the balls of meat that hang from the ceiling.
And
I can see that for sure.
This is the high prophet, the high priest of the Gulping God. So ogres from across the realms flock to Red the Moor to hear what they've got to say.
I love the fact it's being pulled into battle by a Gorger as well. That's just really cool. So all of these models are coming in the not too distant future for the Ogre Moor tribes.
Yep.
Obviously, we need a battle tome to learn all about it, and so there will be the standard edition on the left or the gamers edition on the right to let you get what you need to start playing your games.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a huge and sizable update of things for the Ogre Moor tribes. We've shown you almost all of the new models,
but not
for the ogres. There's a couple more things on the way. The other thing that's worth saying is a couple of the existing units do stick around as well. So particularly some of the big Beastclaw Raider monsters. So if you've got some things like Stonehorns and stuff in your army, you can still absolutely use those, and they work really nicely alongside that. Tyrant.
Do ogres call
one on the
warfare
table here,
grocery runs? I mean, basically,
It's got that beast claw.
part of
got
the
the
impetus
Beastclaw
for
vibe,
like the butchers to go
on his back,
like
which is really cool.
on campaign
Fantastic.
is
Should we have a little bit of a
to
look at some of the rules?
Yeah, let's do it.
like
What you're finding
scavenge
about
more
things. So these are
exotic
the
like
battle traits for your ogres. What can you tell us? Eddie?
body
Yeah, so,
parts
we're
for
not gonna
their
go through the
spells.
entirety because it's a big old page of
I think that's a
green
component
grab.
of
You wanna know
Warhammer
you wanna know what
Fantasy
you're gonna
or
be up against in
Total
Age of Sigmar,
War,
take the screen grab now.
where
Fundamentally, they've got two big army special
like some of the campaigns get bonuses if you
If
can.
you are in
If you
combat
can,
with
maybe I'm
enemies,
thinking of
or you've defeated an enemy
of the
in
orc
combat,
guy, the goblin guy.
you can just have some
But
lunch.
I
You
thought
can
that
make
there was a
take
thing
take
where
chunk
you could
out
get
of the enemy
you gain
fleet,
bonuses if you like
fighting,
go fight
and
specific
you can get
factions
a
to like
bunch of
take
different
pieces of
tools.
them
So this
to
encourages
buff
your
yourself.
players to get stuck in. If they're in the middle of the enemy army, they can start getting bonuses. There's some really strong stuff in there. You've got stuff like run and charge. You can make the unit harder to kill, make them hit harder. You can mess with enemy wizards, all sorts of stuff.
Fantastic. Go on.
And then you've got the other special rule in there,
Yeah.
which is basically like a special thing where when you charge into an enemy unit, you can basically say, would you like to stay where you are and take the ogre's charge, in which case you take a bunch of mortal wounds, or you can say, well, I'll give you the opportunity to move backwards if you like, in which case your opponent immediately cedes ground to your ogres. So it's really good for shifting units off objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting hit by that wall of iron and muscle is no joke. Obviously, the war scrolls have been looked at as well. So these are the Maul Beast Cavalry that we showed you before. They come in the army set. And I talked about how just devastatingly powerful they are. The gut bite weapons do damage 3. The Maul Beasts.
No
3
game
on the
stream today,
charge.
chat. Sorry.
These hit you like a
I haven't
landslide.
streamed my games because there's been so much other stuff going on. I've played a bunch of games offline or off stream, I have them all recorded, and NC Conroy's putting them on the second channel as we go. But it's been tough to get onto stream at the same time that I have like videos that I'm trying to edit and also T5S2 stuff I'm trying to do. So I haven't had to been able to stream today, or been able to stream this week as much as I wanted to. It depends on how much headway I get next week, but the TTS stuff has kind of thrown a wrench in my plans because it absorbed a lot of my day yesterday.
Sort of like scouting units in your force. Brilliant. We talked a little bit about Read the More.
Do Orcs get reroll advanced rolls always now? Yeah,
this is one of the kind of
new army roll
big name special characters of the ogres as well. We're not going to go through everything on the sheet. Feel free to take a screenshot and peruse at your leisure. The things to call out are this is an incredibly durable character. 18 wounds, a 4-up save, and a ward save means that you've got to throw a lot of stuff at this guy before he goes down. A level 2 wizard, that's always going to be useful. The thing to really shout out is that command ability where effectively you can pick an ogre unit nearby and that unit can benefit from as if it was in combat with.
I'm gonna do the
so all of those
the classic reaction streamer thing real quick.
Special rules, you can just give those out to units nearby for a command point, and you can do some great stuff with that. You've got one of them in there which is run and charge. So right from the off, you can be like, I really want one of my units in combat on the first turn. You can just do it. You've also got an ability that gives ward saves to loads of nearby units. So this is just an absolutely really useful linchpin unit for the middle of your army.
Fantastic. So that's a lot of great stuff coming all on the way for the Mortal Realms with the Ogre More tribes and this incredible range refresh.
Yeah, we've got some close-ups here. Just a sense of how big they are. I don't know if we've got a human for scale. He seemed to have wandered up. Maybe they ate him when we weren't looking.
So here you've got Read the More in the middle. You can see the size of him. He's really an absolute beefcake. And this enormous cauldron he's got that's just full of offal. His great big spoon for stowing around the cauldron. Here on the side, you can see the Ogre Butcher. He's really quite an impressive model in his own right. And again, this huge cauldron. If I spin him around, you can see just how detailed these models really are. Just something to behold. Loads of things going on the back. Sort of, he's got these animal horns and things, so they look like they're carrying trophies and things all around. Just really great. It's an incredible looking kit. Yeah. I think the
you get a sense of the size of him because that's a human, right? That he's holding on the butcher.
Yeah,
there,
no kidding. He's got half a person.
Yeah, got half a person there.
Sorry, chat.
That's pretty gross. So
we're back.
Anyway, these have disturbed me for long enough. I'm really excited to see them come out. I think they're going to make quite a wave.
Good old Aegis Smigmar.
We are still not done
stuff.
yet. There is still more awesome stuff to talk about in this big summer preview. Next, we're going down to the Underhive.
This game is so wild because I do like that it expands a lot of the 40k like non-frontline sort of like concept of the universe. But sometimes it does look like it's just a different like system entirely. Necromunda Skirmish.
Welcome back and welcome to
Are they making
Underhive with a
non-RPG game out of Necromunda?
Skirmish. This is very exciting. I'm a big fan of Necromunda. I've played it since I was a 16-year-old boy, and it's great to see a new edition come. This is essentially an edition reset for Necromunda, and this core set here that you can see here, this 2-player battle box, is the perfect way to get into it. If you're an existing Necromunda player, we'll talk about some of the other ways too. Here you can see it on the screen. It pitches the sorry, crikey, you can see me going to my favourite gang just automatically. It pitches the Goliaths against the Escher in a classic house matchup. Let's have a look at some of the kits that come with it. We've got a box here which we can use as a prop, but we've got some great images to show on the screen. It contains 2 gangs within the box. The first of which are these. They are the Blades of the Matriarch.
I painted an Escher Necromunda team for a commission like way back in the day, like 15 years ago.
In there.
And
for example,
I think one of my favorite commissions I've ever done.
Multi-harness. On the right-hand side, you've got one which
like,
is
just like all the unique,
blade
the unique
with
stuff.
A shock whip. You've got the
and like customizing all the individuals.
Who's got the
is,
auto
I don't know, just really fun.
Like
giving each model their own little color scheme.
Loads of fantastic options to really fill out an Escher gang. If you've already got an Escher gang, you'll probably want to add these to it because it gives you even more options and even more fantastic models. This is also a perfect starting point for an Escher gang in its own right. You could never have played a game of Necromunda, and these would be a wonderful jumping on point. They go head to head with the Goliaths. These are the Forge Smelters Goliaths.
These
the
models
House
are
chains
sick.
known for their sort of industrial power.
These guys are fucking
all
awesome.
Of these like heavily muscled, stim enhanced warriors carrying weapons which kind of have an industrial feel. So you've obviously got the heavy stubber at the back, but there's loads of other weapons that might be less familiar. For example, you've got the Crumper Riveter Cannon on the right hand side. The Lady Goliath is holding that. You've also got things like the Servo Medicae that you can see on the Goliath at the front. You've got one with a Chem Slugger. There's loads of different things going on so that you can either add these to an existing Goliath force or just use these as your first ever Goliaths. I really like the Ignition Cannon that's on the left-hand side.
Corn cultists.
Two fantastic gangs.
These might be bigger
also
than
find
that.
inside the box.
They look like they're on
absolutely
40 mils.
everything you need to get started.
Like I think
playing.
they're
So
actually
you have the gaming
pretty
mat,
sizable
the measures,
models.
the dice, the templates, all the
They-
cards and bits
they
and pieces.
might
The full
be,
rule book. You also have some
8-pound
terrain
sized.
to position your gang behind.
Maybe
to
a little
start
smaller, I
playing your
guess.
games.
But like, you could probably make it work.
Essentially, this is a wonderful way to kick off.
Maybe
if
use
you've
them as
just never played
characters if you're
before
playing like
and
World Eaters
kickstart you
or
into
Chaos
the
Space
new
Marines.
edition.
I bet you could build characters out of these
So,
pretty easily.
here you can see like a
But they
close-up
do
of
look
some of
very
those other
large.
things as well.
Because I
There's
imagine that
really,
the
a lot to enjoy here.
Escher
these
gangers
gangs.
are
And
on
if you
like
look at the back of
28
the box, you
fives,
can see it
and
all
the
sort of
Goliath
laid
guys
out,
are on 32s or
sort
40s.
of panning around, just full to the brim of great Necromunda stuff. There's more to come in this new edition than just this. It's worth saying that Necromunda, the thing that makes it so exciting is this continuous war between the great gang houses. So there are 6 gang houses that you might be familiar with if you know Necromunda
Oh, yeah,
well.
Possessed.
Essentially, you have the
Yeah.
Orks, the Vansars, Cawdor, Dilac, Escher.
Are the models like
Goliath.
an actual
You can
different
see them all
scale? That's
displayed
interesting.
here.
I didn't know that.
These are Underhive
'Cause
crew
I've
boxes.
seen-
These contain
I guess
models that
they're
you
pushed
might
a little
already
bit
know
higher
if you're
'cause they're
familiar with
like-
Necromunda,
they
presented
like push
in
the
a brilliant
heroic
format that lets you
size a
essentially
little bit
make
bigger.
one purchase
So
to
that
start
that
an
actually makes
entire
sense.
Underhive crew of your own. I'm a big fan of Necromunda. I've played it for years and years. I've got a really big Orlok gang.
It
and
does
I
look
really
like,
have
I mean,
to rely on
Necromunda does
some,
like make a lot of
essentially
good
everything
stand-ins
you
for
need
40k
a really
stuff.
fantastic
The
Orlok crew.
I've seen a lot of scouts made out of
Things
like
to talk about
the
quickly while
Palanite
we're here.
enforcers,
Obviously, this box contains
which
everything.
I
If you
always
just wanted
thought
the
was
Necromunda
were
rule
really
book, so
sick
you've
because
got
those
loads
guys
of
are
Necromunda stuff and
basically
you
just
don't
the
want
same
to buy
model as a Space Marine
the
Scout.
core box for some mad reason. Then you can just buy the
But they
Necromunda rule
look
book.
really
This is
cool.
a
They're very like
large
tactical.
hardback book. It's just packed with lore and rules and all the good things that you
Yeah,
would
you
want
could
to
do
know
GSE
about
proxies out of Necromunda stuff really easily.
And it's been revised. They've made updates. to
Problematically,
the
I think that would be
streamline
really
things.
expensive,
Every
but
role feels like it
Gene
really
Stealer cults
matters.
are not
That's
an
very
army you get
exciting. I'm
into
really
because
excited
you
to
want
sink
to
my teeth
conserve
into
money.
it.
So
If
maybe
you've
it's
got
fine.
an existing gang and you want to know where you find the rules for that, there's 2 more publications.
Gene Stealer
coming
cults are
along for
really
you.
good for a
These are
lot
gangs
of, like,
the Underhive, which deal with those
full
6
conversion,
gang houses we
like,
talked
army
about before,
mods.
along with various hangers-on and hired guns. And you've got gangs of the Outland, which deals with those gangs and sort of Necromunda denizens that operate outside of the normal sphere. Things like the Ironhead Prospectors or the Ashwaste Nomads. And you'll
It's
find
weird
their
that they
rules
take.
along with
There's
the
just like
various
a.
hangers-on in those
This
books.
doesn't
So
make
essentially,
any difference.
pick
But
up
they
the
take
core
this
book,
like loop
pick up
where
the
they just like
gangs
do a
of
slow
the
zoom into
book
the
that you
item,
need,
and then they
you
just
are
repeat
good
it,
to go
which is
with
very jarring.
Necromunda
Instead of what they
Skirmish.
should do is make a
Still
loop
more.
where they have the smoke loop
Really useful
like going
to have on
on
the side of the
on
table.
the background, and
You've
then
got core gang tactics cards.
they just
I
reverse
find
the
having,
zoom in
like,
and out.
physical things really useful when I'm playing Necromunda.
because
It's a
it
tactile
looks
game.
kind of bad the
You've
other
also
way.
got
but
scenario
I don't know.
cards which
Who am I
help
to
organize
judge?
your campaign and get your game.
It's not like my
flowing
presentation is
really
E tier.
nicely. Also, if you want to like.
Yeah, the Skaven full replacement, like full conversions, are really, really cool.
Enormous range of fantastic
I actually love
Necromunda
those.
scenery and terrain. The Zone Mortalis range is big and beautiful, and there's an addition to it now with these Factoria pipes. You'll find some Factoria pipes inside that core set.
Gene
and
Stealer
there's
cults are
even
cheap
more
on
if you
eBay.
buy
Are
this
they really?
Factoria pipes box and breathe.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about Necromunda is when you start to see people like really lean into the scenery and they've got their Zone Mortalis bit and then they start building up and you get the pipes and walkways and you can have like fights across the gantries and you can shoot people down from higher up and all that sort of good stuff.
Absolutely. My favorite games in Necromunda are always the ones which are played on multiple levels and you can blast someone off a 12-inch high precipice and watch them plummet.
I do
to
like a
their
bit
death.
of Ashwaste every now and again though.
Yes, I agree, but there's something I
There is something cool about
I guess
like,
there's a
having
lot of
full
them on
price
eBay. I
activity.
don't know
Yeah,
how
I saw that for the first
efficient
time,
it
it just
is
blew
to
my
get
mind.
them there, though. A lot of that stuff looks like it's close
If
to
you've never played
MSRP.
Necromunda before, this really is a perfect jumping on point. Necromunda is a really exciting game. Ask any Necromunda fan and they will like enthuse about it, how great it is. And if you are an existing Necromunda fan and you're looking for new challenges, this is really great because the rules have been tweaked and streamlined and there's going to be new secrets to unlock. And it's going to be a good time to be fighting battles in the Underhive. The narrative that's been unfolded.
The problem with
for
Gene
last
Stealer cult, though,
19 succession
speaking personally, I guess,
is
is
kind
like
of done
I don't
with.
really
I'm
like the
really
models that
excited to see
much.
where the team responsible for Necromunda
Well, I think
take
I like
in
the
this
vehicles, but I don't
new
think I like
era.
any of the
It's gonna be cool.
infantry
Yeah.
too much.
And we are
So,
still
There's
not
more.
done.
I would like.
We are
I would
sticking
want to
around in
replace
the
them
41st
anyway.
millennium, but we're going to go to Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team with this.
Yay! Things that are going to come out for 40k later. Catechins? Is this Catechins? Chat. New Catechin unit?
After years of searching,
Oh no, it's Indiana Jones.
we're closing in
It's imbiamba jombes.
on something unseen for decades.
Exodites! Exodites, chat! Let's fucking go, dude! Sick, bro! The dinosaur elves! Dude! Dude! That's sick!
We are alive and well in this year of
It's just gonna be a new
2026, and
unit.
Who would have had
Kill Team's just an
Exodites
onboarding
on the
process for
2026
individual
Warhammer bingo
units for
card?
40k.
This is a super exciting box set.
Really, right?
So this will come out,
So
and then as
obviously,
they
every
release,
time we
they'll
a
have
new
data
Kill Team
sheets
box set,
for
it's very
40k where
exciting.
you can really
This one, I
include
think, will be
basically like
particularly
the
interesting,
unit
not
with
just
all
for
its
fans of
special
Kill Team,
options in
but for fans of Warhammer 40,000, Exodites
40K.
are one of those last untapped awesome bits of Warhammer 40,000 lore. Whenever we get to kind of unveil a
Clever
cool new
girl.
corner of the millennium,
Indeed.
it's always very exciting. I think Exodites absolutely fall into that little corner.
If you don't know what an Exodite is, very briefly, when the Eldari Society was starting to sort of, way back before the fall, starting to fall into decadence and depravity, the Exodites were like, no, thank you very much. And they left main society and they settled on places far flung from the mainstay of Eldar Society called Maiden Worlds.
Beautiful jungle planets full of rich flora and fauna and full of all sorts of weird, wonderful creatures.
Absolutely.
And then when Eldar Society was destroyed in the fall, the Exodites were one of the few remaining bits that were left. Now in the 41st millennium, they have these pockets.
Yeah, I
of
wonder if they
units
just have a
and
person with a tray
across
with the
Warhammer
models
40,000.
like off
Obviously,
screen who just
if you're
walks in
Warhammer
and just like
40,000,
puts
if
it all
you've got something
down
lovely,
and
everyone
then
wants to knock
leaves.
it over and
I
invade
bet
it.
they
Probably a
do.
war coming.
There's always a war
I doubt it's
coming.
these
so
guys. doing
whenever
it.
their planets are invaded, they have to defend them with whatever tools they can find available, and the closest thing available is giant reptilian beasts.
If they
that
did
can
it, that would
ride
be
into
really
battle
funny. They're just
and
like
crush their
scrambling
foes
around.
with.
So, yeah, here we go. These are the Exodite Dragon Masters. Eddie, this is a very unusual kill team, right?
Yeah, so this is a kill team first and foremost. It is really kind of weird.
Look at this
really
little
fun,
guy.
Unusual kill team.
He's so
It is
cute.
effectively 3 models and 2 little hangers on, so it's immediately very, very elite. In terms of how it plays in kill team, it plays in a really interesting and unique and unusual way. All of your units have APL 4, which is wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
In kill team, so you can do all sorts of cool maneuvers.
I don't even know what
they
that
are
means,
Very,
chat.
very fast, as you would imagine.
Is that
faster
good?
than almost anything else. in
Somebody
kill
tell me
team.
if that's good.
They can leap up across bits of terrain. So if you think that your sniper at the back of the battlefield is nice and safe, perched on his
not.
ruin, think again, because a giant reptilian with an Eldari warrior on the back is racing towards you, ready to chop your head off. You have 3 very different kinds of characters in there. Effectively, you've got a warrior archetype, a mage archetype, and a sniper archetype, and they all do very different things for your kill team.
Yeah, so here on the screen, you can see the 3 different ones laid out. Essentially, you have the Clan Blade, which is the close combat one. You have the Ley Stalker, which is the one with the sniper rifle. And then you have the Stone Singer, which is the Exodite, who focuses on using psychic powers. And then they also have these little beasts that run around with them, and those are called Dracolites.
Yeah, and they look familiar to, if you know kind of how Eldar Craft World work, there's a little bit of the Autarch to this one, there's a little bit of the Farseer to this one,
Absolutely.
there's a little bit of the kind of Ranger.
Normal actions is
so they
2.
have a kind of common
Alright.
ancestry with
So
the
their
Eldar
action
Craft
economy is
worlds,
like really
but they have
good,
gone off in a
just
slightly
because they,
different sort of
or their action
tactical
economy
direction,
is
and the
similar to
biggest
other factions, just
difference
because they
really
have
is that they ride on
half
the
as
back
many
of these
models
cool
with twice as many
reptiles.
actions.
Yeah,
That's always
but
cool.
a really fun,
Very difficult to balance,
kill
though.
team, very
Speaking
different
from
kill team. I think
experience.
probably going to be a very popular kill team as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the only thing you get in this box. You've also got a bunch of Orks in here. The way that the Orks work in this kill team is a little bit like the Red Terror set that we had
These are beast
recently,
snaggers?
where they are effectively non-player operatives, and you can play a bunch of different games against these, either as a 1-player or a 2-player series. There is a campaign in the box which tells the story of an Ork war which has landed on this planet. The Orks, who are beast snaggers, basically find a world full of monsters, and they're like, "This is a paradise.
Let's
Look at
snag
all
some
these
beasts."
look at all these giant beasts we can hunt." The Eldar are obviously much less keen on that than the Orks, and they have to try and drive off the Orks, so you can play through this campaign. Also, of course, all the stuff in this box you can also use in Warhammer 40,000 as well.
Yeah, just to give a shout out to that Kill Team Exodite book. It's really cool. I got to have a look through it the other day. It's got great lore in it. There's stories from the perspective of the Eldari Exodites. There's also like that campaign has some great missions in it. There's guides on how to make your battlefield to look like a maiden world. It's a wonderful book. They've done an amazing job sort of bringing this to life.
Yeah. Worth saying, one of the other ways that you can build up the kill team that you get in this set is as another unit, which is called the Dragon Knights. These are the archetypal, I suppose, the closest thing we've got to the classic version of an Exodite. Very reminiscent of some of the very cool Warhammer 40,000 art from some of the early editions. This is effectively a fast cavalry unit of Exodites riding on those huge reptilian beasts. And they work a little bit in game, I suppose, like your Shining Spears, where they could charge in. They actually have laser lances, which is the same weapon that Shining Spears have. So they punch pretty hard, but as well as the rider on the back fighting, who's a good fighter.
Wait, can you play Shining Spears in Kill Team? Is that a Kill Team option?
So they hit really, really hard.
I did not know that.
Like, they're not super durable, but they're a little bit more durable than some of the other kind of combat units you might find in an Eldari army. So they're going to be quite a useful little unit. I think you will see them dotted around very.
I wonder how they'll make the. I guess they're different than Shining Spears because they're going to have these little friendos, which will probably be like a token activated effect.
And the way that they work is that each one is effectively an individual character in your Eldari army. So you've got the kind of lone op sniper.
Wait, what?
Fast moving hero. You've got a kind of buff support.
Wait, that's actually sick though.
So effectively, this one kill team provides you with 4 different data sheets for Warhammer 40,000 Eldari army. So it's a really flexible little clump of stuff that you can add into your Eldari force.
Yeah. So Kill Team Exodite contains 3 Exodites and the 2 Dracolites. Obviously, these models will be available separately down the line. So if you wanted to put loads,
so I wonder if it's 2 leader options for a Dragon Knight unit, and then like the sniper is a lone op character. Where if he's anything like a Lone Spear, he's probably not too bad by himself. Like a fast lone operative is basically never bad.
Obviously, Alitok is known for the Rangers who travel around,
especially because there's not a. I guess like there's fast single entity units in Eldar quite a bit, but there's not actual that much access to lone operatives, right?
They have is this sort of cultural association with these planets, and whenever anyone invades, it's almost like a sacrilegious, right? This is
protecting the last true
absolutely, This is almost always why the Eldari will get involved in a fight somewhere. Is that the craft worlds can fly off, but planets can't really. So when the Imperium shows up and decides to build a Forge world on your wonderful paradise world, you have to kind of go and kick them off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth having a little look at the models, I think. So here we have a stunt beast snagger sort of drafted in to pose, and then you can get a sense of the scale of these things when
beast snagger boys immediately about to be
up alongside. They're
be flooding
the
eBay.
Beasts look really muscular, but they're still an impressive size.
Yeah,
model.
so I guess these guys with the lances are a unit from how they described it, and then the other build version.
Yeah, I mean the models are
characters.
beautiful. Like I think I really like the leader.
How they interact with the units.
Yeah, the leader of the Dragon Knights is just a really, really excellent miniature.
Yeah, you think they'll have mobile chat? That would be big.
For him. I'd be amazed if we don't see a few of those at Golden Demons and things. He's got that beautiful back banner, obviously, which is lending itself to kind of whatever showing off painting scheme you'd like to have a go at. The reptiles they're riding themselves, you could paint in almost any color you can imagine, right? The heavy metal team here has gone for some really cool, vivid color schemes. You could have anything in your paint collection. You can paint these guys. I think they're going to be a joy to paint. I wonder
if it's a unit with 2 attachment character options and then a lone operative.
Who had
in which case, that's really cool.
I think at least 3 people.
Also, Elder players need some fucking love, dude.
Well done, you.
After they received successive nerfs for a million years.
For such a long time, and it's really exciting to see
maybe
them, like on the tabletop in this way before.
Need to
throw
them a bone.
Exodites in plastic, and kind of the first time really we've seen them properly.
Yeah, mounted melee is not ideal, but if they're like 4-man units, it's not that big of a deal. The problem is when you have to double stack mounted melee. That's when it gets tough. But if it's only like 4 guys, it's probably functional.
What a happy time! We're very excited,
especially because they're not the big giant bases. Like the Outrider bases, it just feels non-functional. But these ones are like not the worst thing ever
because they're very exciting. What else is there to say? We have come to the end of our.
That was a lot of stuff, Adam.
It was a lot of stuff, and we said it would be about 90 minutes, and we're very, very nearly there. So thank you if you are still with us and enjoying the Warhammer preview. It's been lovely to have you with us.
New stuff.
I should round up. There have been a couple of questions floating around. One of them I can field right now. Somebody asked in the chat, what's the cost to the Warhammer Academy? The cost is nothing. It is free. You need to log in and sign up but it is designed to help you just get started with
New player
your Warhammer
material. We
journey.
love that.
So it doesn't cost anything. Just join in and
No
start
Peter
learning
Turbo.
Warhammer and sort of honing your skills.
I mean,
and gaining
Exodites
confidence
is pretty
as you
cool,
do
though.
so.
They did save the best
If
for
you've
last.
got more questions, well, we got good news. A few weeks back, Eddie and I did a Q&A, and we had a nice time doing it. So we're going to do another one in a couple of weeks.
12th edition.
So
We'll
is an
see
email address
Exodites
appearing
as a
mystically on your
playable
screen.
hub faction.
Quanda,
That'll
that
be
is
sweet.
Q&A@preview.warhammer.com. That is where you can start sending your questions. Hopefully, Warhammer-related questions, and specifically about things we've talked about in the preview.
I mean, you can send in any question, but we'll only answer the Warhammer-related ones.
I have
probably.
very few specialist subjects, and most of them revolve around Warhammer. So, yeah, please do send us Warhammer questions to that Q&A in a couple of weeks' time. We'll let you know closer to when it's going to be. We'll go through those questions, we'll pick the best ones, and we'll sit down and have a little session where we read through all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I guess all that remains then is thank you, everybody, for coming and joining in this preview and spending some time with us. Thank you to all the people behind the scenes who pressed the buttons and moved the models around and made it all work. You are champions.
Yeah, they
Thank
did
you,
have
Eddie,
people
for
behind the
knowing all
scenes,
answers
chat.
and
See,
making
I
it so.
told
Had a
you.
great time.
Brilliant.
I told
In that
you. I
case,
knew how
until
it
next
worked.
time, we'll see you again very soon. Good night.
All right, chat. Well, there's our preview, I guess. I want to go back for a moment. Let's see if we can find the spot where they talk about the orc stuff. That's obviously like the most relevant for Warhammer 40,000 that we
All sorts of
have.
things.
And we'll just pop over and take a peek. They kind of blitzed through this really quickly. But one thing I wanted to say was that I think reroll advance rolls is a much more powerful ability than we give it credit for right now, because an important interaction is the fact that you cannot use a movement phase stratagem and command reroll an advance roll in 11th edition in the same turn. So on the same unit, I should say, of course. So there's going to be some situations where you're like, oh, I want to advance and charge these guys and also use like here we go lads or whatever. But if I do the first part of that, I cannot command reroll if I roll a 1 on the advance roll. So getting reroll advance rolls built in is really good. It's almost as good as getting reroll charges built in, because reroll charges also lets you heroically intervene and reroll the heroic intervention. But I have seen a lot of situations come up already where units are like moving and would love to reroll it like a 1 on an advance roll, but also need to use another stratagem in the movement phase, and that gets like really obnoxious. I don't know if I like the non-stacking stratagems. I understand why they did it, but I think the situations like that where you cannot command reroll is problematic. I almost would, and I guess it's maybe because like it would be problematic for heroic interventions that reroll, but I almost wonder if it would be worth like allowing command reroll explicitly to work alongside other stratagems, because I do think having some amount of dice fixing in 40k is always helpful. But as it stands right now, reroll advance rolls as a baseline ability is like pretty nice. Especially when you get a bunch of bonuses for advancing and doing stuff when you are riled up, which I think is cool that it's just a basic thing. Here we go back in 8th edition. Yeah, just army-wide rerolls. Yeah, for sure. Pretty good. Yeah, reroll advance roll you just always get, and then you can become riled up by uneffect, which gives you assault, advance and charge, and a 5+ invuln save. So it doesn't buff your damage output anymore, which I think is good, because in the current incarnation, the WOG is just the most toxic design of all time. It's like the most parasitic design it could possibly be, because it makes your army super overpowered for exactly 1 round. And so all your data sheets, every data sheet in the entire faction currently has to be taxed for the fact that it could have the WOG active for it when it's activating. So all of your data sheets are very slightly under par for their points value, because they go very slightly over par when you activate your army ability. However, the problem, of course, is that for 80% of the game, you don't have that ability active. So paying a tax for it just makes your data sheets worse. Having it so that the only thing it does is make you faster and more and harder to kill means that they can amp their damage output just generically, which I think is sweet. You get reactive disembarks with trucks, which is fucking sick. That ability is incredibly strong. There's just like reactive effects feel very strong in 11th edition because of how close the fighting is. So in order to like defeat orcs on objectives, you have to be able to play around the reactive move or to threaten the reactive like thing. You have to like put a gun unit with line of sight to anywhere that unit could disembark to, and then trigger the reactive move. And if you don't do that, then they're simply they just like get to steal objectives from you or threaten heroic interventions or all this stuff. So that seems pretty cool. I think that's sweet. Yeah, jumping out, boys, and then doing stuff is good. Even just like dropping the unit out and not being battle shocked, right? So you don't have to roll battle shock later is really powerful. And like stealing objectives away from people. Sometimes you can even like flip objectives at the end by the end of movement so that people can then like you like turn off abilities and things, which is pretty relevant. Having a rocket launcher is pretty cool. Rocket launchers having a blast profile is new, right? They never did that previously. They just had a blast one on their base profile, but they did at the regular like AP2 3 damage version. But rocket launch is definitely pretty sweet. Dual big shoot does, it's probably okay, but it doesn't seem like you get both. Yeah, you get a dual big shooter and you can replace it with one rocket launcher. And then you just get a buzzsaw or grab and claw. Although it might be that they make it so that those things cost points, and so there's a legitimate reason not to equip the additional weapon. And if you don't do that, then of course your model becomes smaller for line of sight purposes, which in 11th edition is very relevant because it's hard to hide vehicles on turn 1. So I'm cautiously optimistic about these guys. There's a lot of interesting new mechanics. Look at the boys' data sheets. Without seeing the rest of this data sheet, this is kind of hard to parse. They did split combi weapons off again, so I imagine as Codex has come out, they're gonna bring back combi weapons as a split profile. Combi rockets look really strong, especially since a lot of times you're going to be able to advance and shoot. So just like dropping a bunch of rocket launchers into people on the way in on your WOG turn is a legitimate amount of damage. Although the thing to consider is that because these guys are going to be theoretically sort of like not entirely melee, but hybrid melee, shooting all the rockets and stuff does pull you out of hidden, so it's easier to shoot you on the crackback. So sometimes you won't even fire the guns. Although I do like that they give you non-monster, non-vehicle lethal hits. That makes their random little ranged attacks like way more relevant. That represents the volume of fire in an interesting way too, without making them like randomly good at being like anti-tank weapons. Because you never want an orc boy unit to shoot 60 times with like lethal onto lightly armored vehicles and like actually like wreck them. But making them just drop a bunch of random shooting into something and potentially knock a marine or two out like on the way into into the fight is actually pretty interesting. I like it. Gives them a reason to roll for 6s instead of just like rolling for 6s and then having to roll a 3 or a 4 after that, so that your attack is just even worse. Knobs with cleave 2 big chop is probably going to be pretty sweet at infantry sweeping. The question is if you need that though on 3+ weapon scale power claws, right? Because the power claw, it used to be strength 9, right? So it went up a strength and it went up a weapon skill. Obviously, like without the ability to get the extra attack from the WOG. So, like, just swinging 30 times with like higher EP weapons is pretty sweet. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up. Cleave's available in World Eaters, and there's a couple other things. There's like new detachments give it often as like either a stratagem or an enhancement. The biggest place we have it right now, besides the new Orc data sheets, is I think it's Mauler Fiends get like Cleave 2 on their melee weapons. It could be that like Big Choppers with Cleave 2, swinging into a 10-man unit, get an absolutely tremendous number of attacks, right? It's +2 attacks for every 5 models, so you get 8 swings per model, so you swing 80 times. You do just kill any infantry unit like in the entire game, full stop. Which is pretty spooky, but you are kind of tragically underpowered into heavily armored stuff, so the difference is pretty stark. Although again, it's like if I'm already just swinging fucking 30 strength 10 AP 2 for 2, like, do I need to attack 80 times? Maybe, I guess. Interesting. This is I don't know. These data sheets are cool. Seems good so far. There's some new stuff in the detachment section. Warhorde is back. Green Tide is back. Obviously, these are probably going to be mechanically rewritten. Bully Boys is back. That'll probably give ways to Ryle, which will be cool. Runt Swarm seems like a Gretchen detachment. Shoota Boys, Tactical is back. Rekkas is probably anti-vehicle stuff. Tank Busters and Breakas. Big Hunt for Beast Snagga Boys. Madcap Mechs. Who fucking knows? Maybe Mech Gun themed, like one pointer. Dread Mob. Blitz Brigade. Blitz Brigade is the wagon detachment, right? Cult of Speed is for all the speed freaks. Fly Boys, is that an aircraft detachment? Fucking cool. Brute Bosses and Wurband. Wurband is probably like a Librarius Conclave, I would hazard a guess. But for Orks, where it gives you buffs on your Psychers. Brute Bosses, I bet, is a one-pointer that buffs your characters and makes your characters bigger. I bet it's like a Lords of the Warp for Orks, where it's like you can pay like 10 points to give your characters like +1 win and +1 attack or something, which would be fucking cool. If Runstorm is the most competitive, I please wouldn't mind. Yeah, there was a list. WTC in 8th edition, I remember it so clearly. There was a list that was like unbeatable that was just it was like 200 Gretchen. And so few armies in the game had the action economy to remove that many Gretchen. It was like incredibly dumb. It also had 1 trillion command points because you gained command points for taking detachments.
Beyond 6,931 donated $2 through Super Chat. Maybe Warboy will be usable.
Maybe the Warboy will be usable. We'll see. Lethal ranged attacks. So the ranged attack, the lethal hits on the ranged attacks, do not work against vehicles, right? Because it's non-monster, non-vehicle lethal on all the little guns. So it's interesting because they have lethal hits, but their lethal hits is contextual. So like they aren't good at shooting into vehicles and killing them, but they are good at shooting into like medium infantry and not being a joke. Because like you would literally just not roll the attacks for their little guns out because it wasn't worth like your time as a human being on this planet to roll those against even like Space Marine scouts in most cases. But if you're like just rolling a bunch of 6s and you just hand the 6s to your opponent, it like speeds the process and it makes it more relevant, which is going to be sweet. Warboy is the worst data sheet in the game. You gonna make me look up this motherfucker? Alright, what does a Warboy do? Somebody help me. He gives you +2 attacks characters. Oh yeah, to his gun. And then the gun gains hazardous while the unit contains 10 or more models. Hazardous, less bad of a thing these days. And then he selects one enemy with an 18 inches of visible to Psyker. On a 1, his unit takes D3 mortal wounds. Just get rid of this shit, dude. This is so annoying. On a 2+, until the start of your next command phase, that enemy is confrazzled. While it's confrazzled, each time it takes a battle shock check, subtract 2. It's not that. It's not that it takes a battle shock test at 2. It affects future battle shock checks they would take. Yeah, that is bad. That is not good. For 60 points too. This gun's like pretty okay, but if it wasn't 5+ ballistic skill. What they should do is give more of these torrent. Like make these like little torrent attacks. If it was D3 torrent and gained additional attacks for the models in the unit, this guy would be sick, actually. You would probably never play him over a beast boss, but like you would consider it. But the fact that you have to roll to hit on a 5 is like brutal. At least it doesn't get affected by cover. At least there's that. But we're like, even if you're gaining It's +2 for every 5. So even if you're in a 20-man and you gain +8 attacks, you're averaging 11 shots, which is like 3-ish hits, between 3 and 4 hits. Like, you hand your opponent 3 wounds, and they maybe save 1, and they lose like 2 or 3 Marines. Not ideal. Not ideal, dude. Yeah. He comes in the kill rig, and he goes on the kill rig model, right? He's the little dude on the back. Oop, hello. Didn't know that was an option. So, like, you have to find a way to get another dude on there. Yeah, he's this little guy. So if you play him as a separate model, like, technically you wouldn't be able to play a kill rig, although obviously like, you could work a way around that. Just put a regular beast snag up there, nobody cares. That is awkward, though. Kill rigs, though, very good unit. If we have attachment that buffs kill rigs and they don't like change dramatically, it's gonna be sweet. Gives kill rigs mobile. Let's go. Eldar racks are the worst data sheet in the game? That cannot be true. Racks are not that bad. Like, racks at the very least are OC2 infantry, right? They're OC2 infantry. They have 2 wounds with a 6-up. I guess they don't have a film of pain, right? They have 2 wounds with a 6-up, and they have, like, a good suite of both range and melee weapons. I don't know. I think they're fine. I just don't think they're flashy. And they're 12 points a model for 2 wounds? Yeah, I don't know. It's not good, but definitely not the worst in the game, for sure. And there's, like, weird stuff you can do with raiders with them, right? You can, like, give raiders 1,000,000 attacks or whatever. Ooh, all right, chat. Well, that, I think, is a live stream for today. Watch the preview. Exodites, very exciting. That's cool. New Orks, very exciting. That's cool. And a bunch of other bullshit, which is mostly not very helpful. So there's that. I'm going to go finish putting together all my Tyranids for this tournament this weekend. And yeah, it's going to be sweet. Standard guardsmen are the worst in the game after the points updates. That is absolutely not the case. I can guarantee you, not true. They might be inefficient, but there is no way they are the worst data sheet in the game. Some armies will see a 25-man guardsman blob and then just fucking have a meltdown because they can't deal with it. I think, I don't know. I've heard such interesting takes about Imperial Guard in this edition so far. Where some people think that they're unplayably bad and some people think that they're unspeakably broken. And I don't know, it's interesting. I think the actual answer is somewhere in between. But it's definitely, it's funny that, like, it seems like members of the guard community are extremely convinced that they're the worst faction in the game, and there are some other players who play against them consistently and they're absolutely not. So we'll see how it goes. What's sprinting? Not anything exciting. It's just like it's a spacer for a display, a wall hanging basically. Although I did paint a bunch of base extenders for all my Hormagaunts, who I have to dig out of retirement. Here they are. Look at them. They're coming back. They're coming back, chat. They've waited. They've bided their time for like 16 years. And finally they're back because of this motherfucker. Here he is. This guy makes him good. Look at him. I have 3 of these motherfuckers. They're so great. They're not even finished being painted, and I think they look okay. I got those guys. I got a half-painted Red Terror that I made in Blender. Isn't she pretty? And I have this half-built Tyrannifex that, if I pick up, is probably going to break. And so we're going to prep all that for playing this weekend, which will be good. And I'll probably make some content about it, either a video or I'll at the very least do a Patreon thing. And I'll probably talk about the lists that I'm building on my Patreon as well, and for YouTube channel members. Blown away by the Whip Prime, yeah. The reroll wounds enhancement on him is nuts, absolutely nuts. It's so expensive, but that man will print you endless amounts of money if you don't lose him early. But he's 105 points, but he kills the fucking universe. He's crazy. If there was a way to get him like consistent reroll ones to hit, you could do it in Synaptic Nexus, I guess, which is probably not that great. But if you could get him consistent reroll ones to hit, then he would go absolutely insane. The problem is that he can't go into Subterranean Assault because it's too expensive. Yeah, only 9 AP3 saves. He's trending downwards. Even just like I think that there's this push for heavy infantry in the game right now, where a lot of armies are building Terminators into their composition. So like I played like Grey Knights are playing Argent Assault with Paladins, Scarab called Terminators and Psychotar robots in Thousand Suns. Like Deathwatch are building into Terminators right now. It's interesting because like I was definitely not prepared for that to be the archetype. I thought like slow heavy infantry was dead. And I was definitely wrong about that, it seems like. But the Tyranid Primes are they're so brutal for those unit types. Because a lot of times the math is that with the new allocation rules, a single attack group doesn't often kill the entire Hormigont unit he's with. So regardless of the order of operations, he usually gets to swing, and he kills like 3 heavy infantry every activation. And a lot of times he'll get 2 activations into them. Just like sometimes you'll dual charge and you kill most of the unit, and then they'll swing and they'll either die or the combat will persist. And then he'll kill the Hormigons, but the Prime will be left, and the Prime will kill the rest of the unit. And he prints like 6 or 8 heavy infantry worth of damage every game. It's crazy. Having 8 strength 5 melee attacks in addition to a 3 damage melee attack is incredibly powerful into all those units. Oh, I guess, yeah, Tyranid melee warriors you could reroll ones with. That's true. Yeah, I guess that's reasonable. I always took him with the Hormigont unit, but the reroll ones is very good. It's like it's almost worth playing like a little 3-man just to give him the effect. Yeah. That's fair. Not all of them, but most of my games with melee warriors have been in Vanguard Onslaught, so you take Winged Primes in that case, which saves you 10 points. You get a much worse data sheet, but it frees up your Lash Whip Primes to go somewhere else, and then the Winged Primes give them advance and charge, so the units are super quick, and they with the new pile and consolidate rules, you usually get 5 out of the 7 or 6 out of the 7 into melee in most cases, and then they'll just like murder whatever. Which is good. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic about where Tyranid melee warriors are right now. I've tried to fit ranged warriors into my list, but I've actually started to play Von Ryan's Leapers more, just because they have a higher base movement characteristic. And because I'm not in warrior bioform a lot of times. I think the arithmetic might change if you're in warrior bioform, but having infiltrate and move 10 on Von Ryan's Leapers is pretty good for 60, which I've been surprised by. I think it's better than a singleton Lictor. Well, the singleton Lictor is more expensive too, right? He's like 65, which is weird. It's kind of strange because he kind of doesn't do that much. Oh, they're 60 also. So it's either 3 VRLs or the 1 Lictor, and the VRLs are better for screening and have a higher OC and are faster. So I've been playing them. Like melee warriors and invasion fleet? Yeah, that's pretty good. I think because of hidden, you can deliver the slower warrior units a lot more easily. And that was always the issue previously, is that you were just like using your base movement characteristic and you oftentimes had to go all the way through intervening terrain. But because you can persist for at least most of the early game on your deployment line, you threaten like past the midboard of the table with an average charge. So like relatively quick on board melee infantry are pretty good. And especially invasion fleet, because like you're frontlining with a bunch of goobers, and then your opponent has to come into them to contest you on objectives, and then you counter hit with the warriors is good. I know there was that Crusher Stampede list that did well last week, which basically did the same thing, where it was like, here's a bunch of idiot monsters, kill them, and your opponent's like, okay, and you're like, all right, now the warriors kill you. And I've seen a bit of a dearth of T12, because I think a lot of people are scared to run Land Raiders and Land Raider equivalents, because the like anti-tank meta is so toxic to them, which means that melee warriors are goated because they just kill everything on 5s, no worse than 5s, which means they're handing like 20 saves to most units. So I don't know. That's just like my experience playing a couple of games. We'll see how things end out. I think Space Marines will still probably play like 0 to 1 Land Raiders. I've seen some Grey Knights lists that are playing Land Raiders. And then we've seen a couple of Space like Black Templars lists and stuff that are still playing Rep X's. So there's still some T12 in the meta. But it is stuff that you could potentially kill with a Zoanthrope unit or a Tyrannifex. So Tyranids definitely don't feel like they're quite as cursed on anti-armor anymore, which is very helpful. Anyway, it's a lot of Tyranid talk. I'm going to go ahead and hop off and get back to work. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one. I'll certainly be live. I'm not going to be live over the weekend, but I'm certainly going to be live on Monday talking about some competitive results. So I'll see you all then. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Remember to keep it classy, folks. Have happy wargaming. All that stuff. Cheers.